And we're rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Creative Businessmen. Today we have Bill Cranford on with us. He's a sales engineer and machinist. Mostly what you sell is Haas equipment, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I work for a company that we are a Haas factory outlet. So much like a car dealer would specialize in a particular brand, Haas is our big market brand, but we also sell a few other brands as well. So we're in 3D printing. We have Asian market machines, so more complicated or higher production volume type machines beyond what Haas can do. We also offer that as solutions for our customers as well as offering engineering services. So we have a team of engineers that can come in and like expedite a process or look at an existing process and figure out a way to make it more cost effective or just run better.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Before we get into this thing, I have to mention that yesterday we had a big film producer on, and Phil Smoot. He's an interesting guy, but he's also from Asheboro.
Oh, wow.
And today we have you on. You're from Asheboro too.
Yep, that's right.
And so we're all from. This is like success stories from Asheboro, North Carolina.
I feel like we're going to drain that bucket pretty quick, right? Eventually, it's going to get empty.
But yeah, Bill's actually my oldest friend too.
Really?
Yeah, we became friends on the first bus ride to school in kindergarten.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Although I will point out that Neil always introduces me as his oldest friend, but Neil is older than I am by a month.
That's true.
So he's my oldest friend. Is a better way to say it.
That's funny.
That is.
But yeah, it's been an interesting life.
It is. You know, in your earlier podcasts, I've heard you talk about, you know, your life growing up and the home you grew up in when you were really little. And I can remember going in that bedroom with you and playing with toys and playing out in the woods and your parents building their house and playing in the dirt piles around the house, you know, the construction site. So we go way back.
It was like visiting the 40s.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But, you know, as somebody who grew up somewhat similar in a single wide trailer rented on a chicken farm, you know,
that's true.
It didn't feel, you know, I think you've said it before, you don't know you're poor when you're poor.
Right.
And you just grow up thinking that's how everybody lives. And it's not till you get older and you start to maybe become a little more socially aware and paying attention to other people's circumstances, or you go spend the night at a friend's house and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
These people got it way better than I do.
Yeah.
You know, that's when your eyes start to open. It's like somebody pulls the veil off and you're like, there's other options out here.
Yeah, that little trailer you grew up in is still there too.
It is. It's currently uninhabited. We drove by it a week or so ago and it's looking pretty rough, but yeah.
Yeah, I have family way out in like Moore County and we went by there at Christmas and it was still out there, yeah.
Yep.
Good memories though.
Yeah, good memories.
You should buy it. Let's mow it down.
I don't want it.
It's a long ways out there.
Yeah, it is. That's right.
So cool, man. How are sales with COVID?
COVID, you know, has obviously it's affected a lot of things, but manufacturing has, if anything, in North Carolina and in my area, manufacturing has grown in a lot of segments. COVID has affected it, but what it's affected is the ability to have productive interstate commerce. So businesses that were having jobs farmed out to other states and other shops that were getting the products made quickly and cheaper now faced more challenges of running those products back and forth across state lines or mailing things. And so people started immediately looking, how do we bring production in-house? How do we do things, you know, with our own manpower that we were relying on other people to do?
Yeah.
So it's grown. I guess it's the same number of stuff being made. It's just where it's being made has changed because of COVID.
So more like the Elon Musk ideology.
Yeah,
which is good.
It's kind of right.
Do it all yourself. I lost it.
That's all right.
Ask you
It
something
happens.
about something you said. Yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
But really, a lot of the growth we're seeing beyond just products going in and out of houses or out of shops is people looking for automation.
Yeah.
Manpower is the big problem. You can't get people to show up for work on time or
Yeah.
to show up reliably.
Yep.
They want a paycheck, but they don't want a job.
Yeah.
And so where we see a lot of our growth potential is in automation, finding ways to remove people from the dull, dirty, dangerous, repetitive stuff that
Right.
you're paying some guy to really just operate one arm, right? He's
Yeah.
just doing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could replace that with a robot or some sort of a feeding system or a palletizer, anything like that, any way to automate a process that a human was responsible for doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? A robot can do this slower than you and I could do it, right? I can move my arm pretty quick.
But it never stops.
It never stops.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a break. It doesn't check Twitter.
And it costs a fraction of the operating cost too.
Yeah, over time.
It's about $4 an hour to operate a robot.
Doesn't get sick.
Yeah. So do you guys develop robotic technology or?
We don't develop it. Well, okay.
The companies you sell for.
Yeah. So we sell a couple of different robotic platforms currently. We sell a product called Universal Robotics. They make what's called a collaborative robot. So that's a robot that you can interact with, and they're very popular in palletizing, gluing, sanding, polishing. They're very well known in those categories of industry, but in machine tending, they're a little less known. So we're pushing that. We're trying to show customers this is a viable option, and this is a robot that can operate essentially without any safety guards.
Okay.
So it has like force feedback joints. So if it bumps into you, it just kind of stops and waits for you to get out of the way, and you hit go, and it takes off again.
I've seen those human-friendly robotic arms. They're pretty neat. They're plastic material too.
Yeah, they're mostly aluminum, plastic joints.
I know in China they're using most factories in China now are using one human to one robot.
Yeah.
And they work together, and that's why they started doing the human-friendly. I guess a few people get whacked in China probably.
I mean, nobody asks the robots how they feel. They may not be human friendly, but
right, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, they work with people well, and then there's some other industry leaders, names like Fanuc. Everybody knows Fanuc and robotics, and if you watch a video of Elon Musk and they're making Teslas, you'll see a Fanuc robot that's picking cars up and transferring them from one line to another. I mean, they're the industry leader, and they make everything from robots the size of this boom arm to stuff that'll pick up a car.
Wow.
So we also are starting to offer that as a product that we can sell also.
I know I was going to ask you now. Also, before I ask you this, I need to mention too that you're a co-host on BS Car Guys podcast.
Yeah, so I've got two podcasts. I don't know what it is about podcasting that it's gotten popular all of a sudden. But I have a friend of mine, Stanley Lasonley. We grew up in the Marine Corps together. We kind of became adult men together. So, but anyway, he and I have been talking about cars for, 20 some years now. And we would call each other, weekly or monthly and have these like hour and a half to 2 hour long conversations where we just rambled at each other about cars. And even back in the 90s when we were in the Marine Corps, at the turn of the century, that makes us feel old, right? When we can say the turn of the century, we'd be like, wow, we should have our own radio show. We could do our own radio show and just talk about cars. And then we always joke like, nobody's going to listen to us talk about cars, but we wanted to do it. And then COVID happened, and we were chatting, and he's like, hey, that radio show we always talked about? We're going to do that. We're going to do a podcast about cars. And I was like, all right, let's try it. And then literally the next day, another friend contacted me. I was like, hey, you want to do a podcast about travel? And I turned to my wife, and I was like, why does everybody want me to talk into a microphone all of a sudden? Like, okay, we'll try it. And so I'm doing two podcasts. I have the BS Car Guys. So that's Bill and Stan, but we also just spread a lot of BS. So it's the BS Car Guys show. And then I have Carolina and Beyond podcast where we just talk about travel. So my friend Jesse, he and I both really have a love for travel, whether it's local or international. And he's done a lot of national travel and international travel more so than I have. And so he brings kind of the international flavor. He's a foodie, so he likes to talk about the restaurants that he goes to, that kind of stuff. Neil knows I'm a picky eater, so I don't like to talk about the food. But I like to talk about the people and the experiences and the things we do. And my wife and I take a lot of local trips. Last weekend we were down at Wrightsville Beach, for the
Yeah.
weekend. So we like to take a lot of in-state or just around the area trips.
Well, North Carolina has a lot of good places to go on vacation too. We have the mountains and the coast within 3 hours, so
Yep.
it's pretty convenient.
Yep. You can go and enjoy it and then leave it and come back
Yeah.
home. And
A lot of people
go
don't
later.
realize that the North Carolina mountains are the most biodiverse forest in the country.
Yeah, I mean they are a rainforest basically.
Yeah.
I mean their weather systems and the biodiversity of plants.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The question I was going to ask is back to the manufacturing. The machines that you guys sell, where are they? Are they manufactured in the U.S. or are they manufactured overseas?
So yeah, that's a good question. So we have, like I said, we have several brands that we represent and we sell. Haas being our main brand, they are made in the United States.
Okay.
So they're all manufactured in Oxnard, California. It's a 1 million square foot under roof facility with another additional million square foot of outside storage space because it's
Decent sized building.
yeah, it's California, so it never rains there. It's just perfect. But we've actually were outgrowing that facility. So we are in the land development beginning stages of building a second facility, a 2 million square foot under roof facility, just outside of Las Vegas, kind of halfway between Vegas and Lake Mead.
I like it.
Yeah.
Also getting out of that tax.
I was going to
gonna
say,
say
much better taxes
Yeah.
in Nevada.
Yes. Yeah. But it'll all still be in the U.S. To give you an idea of the scope of it, and this is something that even if people aren't in manufacturing, they can wrap their heads around usually. So we have a lot of our sheet metal production we have brought in-house. For years it was done out of country, and so some of our components are still like castings, the raw, basic, giant chunks of metal that the machine sits on. There are no foundries in North America really that can compete with the volume that any machine tool manufacturer needs. So all of those castings basically come out of China. I mean, that's just
Used to all be
common.
in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah.
So the U.S. just can't support that market.
Right.
And to give you an idea about that support need, so a lot of our sheet metal used to be done in Mexico and other parts of the U.S. And between delays in shipping and quality and just a lot of reasons, we wanted to bring that in-house and make that something that Haas was completely in control of. And so they have a sheet metal factory, and Haas is now the single largest user of sheet metal in the state of California.
Wow.
Yeah, and the state of California is the 7th largest economy in the world or something like that. So that gives you an idea of how much sheet metal we're using.
Probably one of the top 10 worst ran too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, they're definitely on that list.
Yeah. That's interesting. And they just use sheet metal on those machines just for the panels and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's right. Just the enclosure. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. How many machines do they produce a year?
That's a good question. I don't know that number off the top of my head. It's a lot because we, while we are the market leader in the United States, we also sell in Europe, India, Asia, China. I mean, we are a global
Probably
brand.
sell more machines to China than anybody, right?
China is growing. India is probably the country giving the United States a run for its money in machine purchasing at the moment.
Gotcha.
Their growth arc is a little steeper at the moment, so they're buying in a lot of stuff. They're even buying used, worn-out stuff and rebuilding it anew just so they can get it faster and it gets around some of their taxes.
Yeah. Well, there's so many companies that use CNC machines for different things, too. It's not just manufacturing. You have a lot of people in automotive, racing, and stuff like that.
Yeah, let me tell you. So I spent the better part of 6 years working on the machines and repairing them before I moved into sales and got back into the sales industry. And some of the shops and products that I've seen, I mean, it just blows your mind. Machines that, drill in human bone, machines that are making stuff that you're like, I never would have thought you have to manufacture this. Machines that are making sanding and polishing discs so that your Gorilla Glass on your iPhone is a little more indestructible. All that stuff has to be made.
Yeah.
So.
You've even dealt with, what's the company in Charlotte? They do a lot of real high-tech engineering. What is the name of it? Walthrop Grommeters.
Northrop Grumman?
Northrop Grumman, yeah.
I've been in there. That's a pretty neat facility. I won't go into detail as I'm not sure how much I can share about that place. It's kind of one of those places where you have to sign some stuff when you walk in the door, and
okay.
they look in your suitcase to make sure you're not carrying anything but tools, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a process that is unique to them, and they're the only people in the world doing it the way they're doing it. And they grow stuff in there that the earth takes tens of thousands of years to produce naturally, and they're doing it in a matter of weeks.
It's creating high pressure. Develop minerals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
just as a fun trivia thing too, like that's what I am. I'm just a bottomless pit of trivia. They have these vessels that they do this process in, and the guy was explaining it to me, and he's like, we produce enough heat and pressure that there's not a substance on Earth that can contain it. I was like, oh, that's cool. But then my brain kicked in. I was in the Marine Corps, so it's a little slower, but my brain kicked in, and my brain said, but wait a second, we're on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you contain it?
How do you contain it? Meteorite.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it's not from the Earth. It's been through the atmosphere, so it's been
so
hardened to a level that we just struggle to produce.
Interesting.
And so it'll contain the heat and pressures they want to make.
Wow, that's fascinating.
That is.
Interesting.
Yeah, which means that there are people's jobs that travel the world to hunt down meteorites, buy them for this company, and bring them in. That's
a good
job.
Yeah, they're pretty valuable too.
Very valuable. Yeah.
Those iron meteorites.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can talk about it. I know we talked the other day at lunch. You said you hit like a sales record this year.
I'm on my way to a good one. Yeah, I mean it's been like I said, COVID's been a good year. I don't want to boast, but I have had a record year certainly for our state and our territory, and I think for our company as well. It's just been all the pieces come together at the right time. It's an election year. Had a pandemic that brought jobs and businesses back in, and people tried to tighten down and consolidate. And election years are good for the gun industry. And I've got several big gun manufacturers in my territory, and it's just been a booming year for adding growth in business. And it's all kind of come together at the same time. So next year we could have this conversation, and it will probably be completely different, and I will not be a record setter, or I may not even be mediocre next year. But,
well, I liked what you told me about. You attributed a lot of your sales success from your relationships with your customers.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the most important thing to me. When I was in the service side and working on machines, finding a problem with a product, or if you're working on a car, or you're working on gutters on a house, finding the thing that's broken and replacing it, it gives everybody, especially men, it gives us a satisfaction that we've accomplished something. But what I found more often than not, the part of my job that I enjoyed and was getting the most satisfaction out of was the interaction with the customer and fixing them.
Yeah.
Right? Because if something breaks, you now have a problem, right? Your problem then is dealing with it. Whether somebody comes in and just throws a new screw in there and patches a hole is one thing. But when they leave, you're still standing there thinking, well, what did I do wrong? Am I going to do it again? When's this thing going to fail next?
Yeah.
So if you, as a service person, if you leave, but there's still a problem that you didn't get fixed, and it's the customer, so from a sales standpoint, I try to approach it the same way. Is I had to talk to the customer, find out what their problem is, whatever their pains or difficulties are. If I can't make enough of this, I can't make it cheap enough, I can't make it fast enough, I don't have the people to help me make it, whatever that problem is, and try to fix that problem. Somewhere in that conversation, a machine is going to present itself as a solution to at least one or part or all of that problem.
Yeah.
And then the sale will come out of that. But if I just go in and my only goal is I'm going to sell a $200,000 machine before I leave this building, then I'm probably not going to sell it.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to miss the opportunity to actually sell a solution to a customer.
Yeah, plus you're looking ahead and you're thinking, well, if I treat this customer good and I provide them a good service and a good product, then they're going to come back later and buy another machine from
Absolutely,
me.
yeah.
And we treat sales the same way, in a real ethical way. Take care of the customers, give them good, because he'll tell you, get a small amount of a lot of business.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No, that's,
And he's
definitely
really
the
more of the
mentality.
sales expert, really.
Can I put engineer behind it, you think?
Yes.
So,
Sales
I'm
engineer.
sorry, the sales engineer.
Yeah.
Yes. It makes it sound better. Trust me.
I like it. I like
the
it.
sale's scientist.
Scientist.
Oh,
We had thought
there you
about,
go.
there it is. There's a lot of people claiming to be scientists today, though, you know? I was going to tell you, though, so I'm guessing you do CNC machines as well, then?
Yeah, that's
That's
the
the main-
bulk of our stuff. We have some what is considered manual equipment, but it's very rare that we sell that, and then it's usually to like a school because they want manual equipment to teach students how to do the old school stuff.
I gotcha.
Pretty much everything's computer. It's CNC now.
Gotcha. We had actually thought about, we've been outsourcing some of our, because we own a manufacturing company too, and we've been outsourcing some of it. We've actually been talking about doing some of it in-house. So it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
For the same reasons that you've mentioned others have, is just, something's supposed to take 2 weeks and now it's taking 6 or 8 or 12
Yeah.
or question mark. And so there's several items where I feel like we can just do it better, faster, more efficiently ourselves, and then we can put some of those quality control measures in. But we've actually been talking a lot about that.
Yeah, it's a huge factor in it. And, then there's the uncertainty. Plus, in most job shop scenarios, so, shops that aren't dependent on one particular industry and their work just comes from various companies, a lot of times that even if they're outsourcing it, they're a middleman. They quoted on the job, they're making parts or pieces of that job, but they are then relying on other shops that maybe have a specialty in a different area to produce part of or most of that order. So now they're a middle person. So when that job that was supposed to take 2 weeks takes 6 weeks, that puts them in danger with the contract holder or the company that they're doing work for.
Yep.
Yeah, and that kind of work, you could have fines and stuff too for
Yeah.
going past your.
Well, especially if you get into like aerospace stuff.
Oh yeah,
Then
sure.
it gets crazy.
Government
work
contracts
and
stuff, yeah.
aerospace is they're and medical. The checks and contracts and arbitrators and all that stuff gets crazy.
Yeah, interesting.
You having mic issues?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it at the right place here.
We'll get you a microphone engineer.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Engineers fix
Just
everything.
because I'm going to hold the boom for me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. What do they call those guys? You're an actor. What do they call those guys on the set? A key grip or something that holds the mic?
A grip?
I guess I got a grip on it.
The
sound
mic
guy.
is not, well, it's a boom operator.
Boom
is
operator,
the-
that's right, yeah.
operator.
What's the
that
grip?
dude.
He said yesterday. He said he would start off as a grip.
A grip is okay. It has to do with lighting, and I'll be as fast as I can with this.
All right.
You got different teams when you make a movie. You got the camera team, so you got the DP and his assistants connected to the camera team. You've also got Gaffer, who's got lighting people with him. Electricians are called the lighting people, and then you have the grips, and you have the key grip, and then you have the grips under them. And what the grips do is they handle all the things that deal with casting shadow and stuff like that. They'll put up the big nets and the big stuff like that. They'll help. Occasionally they'll grab lights, but generally the gaffer and the electricians will throw up the lights and all that kind of stuff too. But generally a grip is kind of like that. You'll see them carrying sandbags all day long. I've done it many times.
So it's a difficult job.
Yeah, it's easier when you're younger. It's harder. I've done it in my 40s and it really sucked. In my 30s it was pretty good though.
Well, you know what I heard in all that conversation was a missed opportunity in the film industry that at some point somebody said, let's call these people grips when they could have been called them shadow casters. What a cool freaking name.
That's way better. Yeah.
Like at the end of every movie, you could add shadow caster.
It's you don't want it to be too cool, the name.
Yeah. Okay.
So
You don't
want
wanna-
it
yeah, you don't
move
wanna
on.
steal the thunder of the
Most people
actors,
aren't grips
right?
forever, but some people are. Yeah.
I like Shadowcaster as well.
Yeah, that's a job title right
We should
there.
make a movie. It should be called Shadowcaster.
We could.
Yeah. And it's going to be about fat people like myself.
He who
funny.
casts the biggest shadow
That's
stands last. Or something.
It's a gang called the Shadowcasters.
It's going to have a Beastie Boys kind of vibe
There
to
you
it.
go.
You know,
There you
but-
go.
you
The
go.
last thing you'll see is our shadow.
That's right.
That's funny. So, how does AI and science and everything play into the machining world?
Well, I think in manufacturing, it is slower to come in. One of the things technology-wise, that's been a big leap for manufacturing is we're starting to see more additive manufacturing, so 3D printing. I'm sure quantum computing and AI will make that sort of data flow faster and better.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's really got a lot of pull in the industry at the moment, but it's a revolutionary way of thinking for traditional manufacturing, because a lot of times a part in traditional manufacturing or subtractive manufacturing, a part is looked at as part of an assembly because of features. So you may look at a part that's got some complicated features on it and you say, okay, there's no way I can get tooling in here to make these features, so then I have to separate it out and make it, 3 or 4 pieces, and then it's assembled. But with additive manufacturing, there is no too complicated of a geometry.
Right,
or
it's all printed,
part.
right?
It's all printed. And then the other half of that is in fixturing and work holding. Most of traditional manufacturing, that's some of your biggest challenges. I hand you a part and you look at it and you say, first thing you think of is, okay, how do I have to hold this part in order to machine this surface or make this part of it?
Right.
But in 3D printing, you hand me a part and I go, okay, cool, I'll print it.
Just scan it.
There's no complicated. It's how can I nest this to put as many of them as possible in the printer bed?
Because you really just create
And that's it.
a three-dimensional image in a program like software, and then you just
Yeah.
send it to the printer, right?
Yep. So the brand
But that's AI, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
The brand of printer that we sell, EOS, it's a pretty high-end printer. It's not the one you're going to go buy. It's not a Dremel, right? I
Right.
mean, it's a pretty high-end.
Yeah.
And they specialize in metal printing and in like metal polymer blend printing. So we have like aluminum plastic mixes.
That was a question I had, too. What's the most durable 3D printing capability today?
Well, I think probably the best example to use, I mean, we're printing in titanium, Inconel, some pretty hard metals.
Wow.
Actually, the harder metals are easier to print in than the softer, like cold roll steel is. It's really hard to print. So it's easier to print more difficult metals.
Do they just use extreme heats to do that, or how does that work?
Lasers.
Ah, okay.
Laser beam.
So it's just constantly welding.
Yeah, it's just sharks with frickin' laser beams on their heads. But you're just
How do they train the
basically
sharks?
Yeah, it's a slow process.
AI.
Yeah, AI. There you go.
Why not use dolphins?
They're too independent. They're free thinkers. It doesn't work. But so like GE, aircraft engines, they're in everything, light bulbs,
Yeah.
whatever. They make 3D printers. They sell 3D printers. You can go buy a GE 3D printer. However, they also make jet aircraft engines, and they have some components in their aircraft engines that are 3D printed, come out of the printer and go right into the jet engine.
Wow.
But they're using EOS printers to print those parts, not GE printers. Yeah. So I mean,
How much is a 3D printer like that?
these 3D printers can really range. Small stuff that's more prototyping. They've got one at like NC State. In the engineering department. A printer like that's maybe $300,000, $250,000. But if you're going to talk like production, so you want to have like 4 print beds and 4 laser heads, and you're making 4 parts at a time, or one big part that overlaps, or you're getting into like full production facilities where there has to be a clean room. Because when you talk 3D printing, there's also this issue of like very fine particulate in the air becomes combustible. So it's so you like go into a different safety hazard area.
Ventilation systems.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's exactly right. So you're basically having to build a clean room or a clean building in order to have a lot of this production capability. So we're talking millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
Interesting. You got to sell a lot of those, or?
No, not in this area. There's just not a ton of opportunity for it.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, all of our aerospace stuff has really been affected. Aerospace has slowed down a lot during COVID because nobody's flying.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you guys do any stuff for like NASA or anybody? Anything that's not just?
So the company that I work for, Phillips Corporation, we're the largest HFO, but we also handle all federal work in manufacturing. So we have Phillips Commercial, which I work for, and then also Phillips Federal. So any company like NASA or the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Huntsville, any of those kind of places that would have our equipment would come through our company. So
Okay.
we are in those businesses. I'm just not.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. Now, when I was in the service side, and because I could still get on and off bases fairly easy, I would occasionally go do service work.
I bet that was cool.
Yeah. It was fun to get back on a base and remember what it was like, and then go, I don't live here anymore. You know, watch the people march by and be like, I don't have to get in that formation. That's not me. You know,
You miss it at all?
I miss the people. You know, that's the part of it. I mean, you don't miss all the governmental it's amazing to me that there's a correlation between people who served in the military and people who think that there are government conspiracies. Because I worked for the government, they're not smart enough to put together a conspiracy, right? It's
Well, nobody keep their mouth shut either.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
There's corruption
there's
for sure,
so much corruption.
but eventually it usually gets out,
Yeah, that's right. Somebody somewhere finds out,
Or-
and then Hillary kills them.
or they end up dead, and you never know what happened. Yeah,
Yes, that's right.
like what's his name?
They hang themselves in a closet. It's a very convenient way to.
Right, yeah, or in a cell.
Yeah,
the
or in a
cameras-
cell.
The guard was gone. The camera wasn't working.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody needs a lunch break.
He hung himself, but he broke his jaw
Yeah.
when he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, talented guy.
Very, very determined.
Yes.
Very determined.
It's like,
You know,
I'm gonna
people who
really
shoot
kill
themselves in the
myself.
head twice, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, I miss the people. I miss the work. I enjoyed the job I had, but it was a fairly unique skill set. And so when you get out, you know, if you do that job and only that job for 20 years, there's not a lot of work that you can get out and go pick up
Right,
and do
yeah.
that kind of work. So
Unless you're some kind of specialist.
yeah, that's exactly
If
right.
you're the
Well, for
engineering
me,
or science.
I could have went and worked
field.
for like a bomb squad or something. And that would have been, you
Yeah.
know. But if you get out of the military and you've got 20 years of experience of building explosives, and you go, all right, what do I do with this? You know,
Not a lot of
you-
options.
you're not doing a lot of kids' birthday parties or anything like that.
Demolition.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Blow up a building or
You should have,
disarm a
you
bomb.
You could make YouTube videos today, though.
Yeah, you could.
Yes.
Could have
Yes.
contracted to third world countries, though.
Yeah, that's
man.
true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. More danger.
Yeah. But back in 2002, you know, if you called like the directory and were like, can I have the number for ISIS? They're like, do what now? You know, and I said, ISIS on your podcast, so you guys may get flagged now. You know, you're going to be on a watch list.
I think they're gone now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Yeah, for now.
So.
Sure, more will bubble up somewhere.
Yep.
My dad used to say, because my dad was in the Army, and, you know, I grew up, honestly, until I was 11. We were predominantly on military bases and sometimes in other countries. And so it was a very different life, at least I thought, from memory anyway.
Yeah.
You know, going to the PX and going to on base and going to the bowling alley and boxing. And, you know, I was always around people that their parents were in the military. So for the first, 10, 11 years of my life, that was, you know, just prevalent.
Yeah.
And then at 11, we got stationed in Asheboro. It was his retirement gig. He ran the armory there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so that was like his retirement gig. And then I think by the time I was, I don't know, I'd have to get back and look, 15, he was fully retired. But yeah, so that was home. But yeah, he says the same thing. And he still has people that he went in, that he got his first haircut, his first beer, drank his first beer with.
Yep,
He's
yep.
got these old photos. And some of these people are through Facebook and through other things have found each other. So it's kind of fun to hear them chat. And I think some of them are kind of what you said. They don't necessarily miss the government bureaucracy of it, but they
Right.
miss the camaraderie and the people, the bonds, the relationships. You know, they kind of all experienced some crazy stuff together. So,
Yep.
you know, not as crazy as some things, but like the Desert Storm, and then you know, most of them were in Germany together when the Berlin Wall came down.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. Well, you know, from being in the Marine Corps, I think probably there's more dangerous, crazy stuff that happens when it's not wartime. When it's war, you're just going to work. That's what you're trained to do.
right.
You're just sitting around idle with nothing better to do. That's when stupid stuff starts happening. So, war is probably better for the military than not war,
Right.
That's funny.
because then things go sideways. But
Yeah, a bunch of 18-year-old kids.
yeah, that's exactly right. So my wife and I, we have organized a couple of reunion weekends for guys that I was in the Marine Corps with and worked with. And the first one we had, folks started showing up, and my wife is one of the few, actually in that first weekend that we did, she's the only wife, I'm pretty sure, that was with her husband. We were dating when I was in the Marine Corps, but she was the only person there that was a spouse that was with their significant other while they were in service. So the rest of these women that came with their husbands or a husband with a wife, they hadn't seen as much of marine to marine interaction. They had just experienced their spouses in civilian life. And so when these guys pulled up and get out of the car and conversations pick up, 20-year-old conversations pick up like they just ended 3 minutes ago, and the wives are all standing around like, what is going on? I've never seen him talk like this or behave like this or, interact with other men this affectionately. Not that we were all gay or anything, but, just being this different level of interaction. And my wife's like, yeah, that's how they are. Like, you guys weren't around for that, but that's it. That doesn't ever go away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It is. It's really interesting.
Facebook makes it a lot easier to stay in touch, though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's the only thing it's good for.
Yeah, that's about right. Well, and political memes.
Breaking down society.
I mean, yeah.
It's good at that.
Breaking down intellectual society.
Yeah. That's it.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I get these suggested friends list or, it pops up. And the Facebook ones are just like out there. I'm like, where did you get this from?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's so random, and it'll say you have mutual friends, but you're like, I've never heard of this person or any.
Yeah.
So, but to make myself, to date us, like I got one the other day, I was scrolling and it was like suggested friend, and I was like, dang, this dude looks real familiar, but I don't know any like 16, 17-year-old kids, that are Hispanic in Texas. And I was like, why does this guy look so? He was like, he's the son of a guy I was in the Marine Corps with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he looks like his dad. And so it had, said it had like 12 mutual friends with the guy. And it's like, who are these mutual friends? And as soon as I clicked on it, I was like, holy crap. This guy was like in diapers, when I was in the Marine Corps. Like, I remember this kid when
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but Facebook thought we should be friends. I'm like,
Well, that's not a bad suggestion there, but
yeah. But I mean, it's so random that they know, they're like, you're probably going to like this guy because somehow we knew that, maybe you helped change his diaper 22 years ago.
Yeah. I get a lot of actors, mostly like actors and film people.
Yeah.
Suggestions on my Facebook, but I don't like I like Facebook for friends and family.
Yep.
It's just so personal.
Yep.
But I really like Instagram for just normal, self promotion or business promotion because it's less involved. It's
right.
It seems like the algorithms are less aggressive, and it's not real political and stuff. So.
Yeah.
You know what I've never gotten into? Twatter.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Nah.
I had it for a minute.
I've got it.
I've got
years
one.
ago.
I can't remember how to log into it, but yeah, I've just never been a big twatter.
Yeah.
Like,
It's really just divisive.
It is. I think it's
just an
probably
argumental
worse than Facebook.
Feed.
Yeah,
It's a feed to argue with people.
Yeah.
But I mean, I send stuff to Twitter, but I don't ever check it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I send stuff for the podcast there. I just, I post everything on Instagram, and then
Yep.
it goes to Twitter and Facebook.
you're gonna get on Twitter and be like a king. It's gonna be like 1 million followers. You didn't even know.
No.
Your Twitter will have
Probably have
blown
15
up
followers.
and
I think I've got one on Twitter. Last time I checked,
I'm just not interested.
it's probably my dad.
Yeah. Twitter burned me from the start. So I was like, I'm going to get on Twitter. I'm going to get me a Twitter account. This was years ago. This was like probably, I don't know, 2011 or 12 or something. I was like, I'm going to get a Twitter account. So I got a Twitter account. And like literally the next day, I'm driving down the road and I see a semi truck. And this semi truck has spinners, right? You guys remember spinners,
Yeah.
right? It's like 22-inch chrome spinners on the
Weird.
rig of the tractor trailer. And I was like, dude, this is so rare. I have to take a picture of this, right? So I took a picture of it going down the road, safety third, people. And so I posted on my Twitter, and I got comments from like people in other parts of the country that I didn't even know, like saying like, you're an idiot, you shouldn't post. Like, it's like, this is what Twitter is? I don't want to be on Twitter. Like, so I kept it for like a year or two, but I was like, I don't need this hassle in my life.
Yeah, it's just another time consumer.
Yeah. And I worry with, you got TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I probably missed, Snapchat and 250 other ones that I don't even know about because I'm 40.
Yeah.
They don't let you know about it, I guess.
Right.
Well, if you did know about it, they'd question you. Be like, huh?
Yeah, how's this guy know about it? But
Twitch.
Yeah, I've heard of kids watching video games on
Video
Twitch.
games, yeah.
That's where you go for Twitch.
That's a good use of time.
I gotta
Just watch
throw-
people play video games.
Hold on, I gotta
Watch
throw one of my
other people
buddies
play
under
it.
the bus real quick about Twitch, and I'm not gonna say his name because he does watch, but I'm talking about you. All right, you ready? I come in. I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing? He's laughing. He's like, he's having a good time. I'm like, what you doing, buddy? Best friend since we were 11. He's like, oh, I'm just on Twitch. I'm like, yeah, but what are you doing? He's like, well, every time I donate $1, this girl laughs and she jiggles her boobs. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, so you can donate to this girl while she's playing video games. And every time she gets a donation, she jiggles her boobs. She laughs and jiggles her boobs.
Wow.
I was like, so you're donating to this girl and watching her play video games and watching her shake her boobs. Is that basically what you're telling me? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So Twitch.
Wow.
That's the only thing I know about Twitch is that one of my buddies.
And she's successful.
She is
I
successful.
was going to say, I guarantee you, not only does that happen every time somebody donates $1, but when she gets in her Ferrari and turns the key, she probably laughs and jiggles her boobs. And it's like, got me another one.
I don't remember the
I'm
numbers
sure.
he told me, but I think the top 3 or 4 paid girls that do this are over $1 million a month.
Wow.
$1 million a month.
A month. From
She's not successful. She's extraordinarily successful.
yeah, and I'm like, this is genius. It will not work for me, I don't think, because I'll gladly do it, man. Hook me up a camera, man boobs and all. I'll fucking jiggle and shake, and I don't think they're giving me any dollars.
Well, they may give dollars, but it's to stop. Right?
Yeah. Put your shirt on. But I thought it was hilarious. But that's what I know about Twitch.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so, and I'm
crazy.
sure there's a lot more going on, but that's what
Yeah.
that's the only thing that stuck with me. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So check it out next time you get a few bucks to spare. You know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Don't tell your wife.
Well, there's some automotive content people that post some stuff and live stream on Twitch. And so a couple years ago, I was like, well, I'm going to check this out. Maybe watch some of this live stream of them building this car or whatever. I get on there and it's like, oh, it cost X number of dollars. And I'm like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm too tight. I'm not paying for an app to watch somebody else do something I want to do myself.
Just go to YouTube for free.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Let the advertisers pay for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I
Makes
mean,
more sense.
I'm a big fan of Motor Trend, or
Yeah.
I won't say a big fan because I'm not willing to buy their stuff, but I'm a fan of
I like,
Motor
yeah, I like
Trend.
Motor Trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they used to have a huge presence on YouTube.
Yeah, what happened to that? I used to watch a lot of their stuff
Well,
too.
what happened to it is that their executives, because they were a print media company, right? Their executives said, wow, we've got a huge fan base now. Nobody's buying our magazines anymore because nobody buys magazines. Why don't we launch our own website, keep putting up this same content on there, and charge people a subscription fee for it?
Oh, forget that.
Yep. That's exactly what
They'll be back on YouTube then.
90% of their fan base said was like,
Yeah.
I'm not paying for it.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
Let the advertisers pay for it.
Yeah. And I guess the problem with YouTube.
And they're making plenty of money off that.
YouTube-
too.
Well,
YouTube's-
and that's the problem. They were making plenty of money, but they weren't making enough money to satisfy the pockets of the guys that
Yeah.
had lived a lush life on ad from magazine print media.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And they had
That's
gotten
old.
accustomed to a lifestyle, and
So it's gone.
yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. It's gone. Let
Well,
it
there's
die.
an interesting thing going on right now with, alleging that Google's a monopoly, and actually, I don't know if it meets all the requirements. There's this question of a free market competition, and just because someone's doing it better and people are voluntarily choosing that, doesn't necessarily make it an option as long as there are alternatives available.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
you can't force people to choose the lesser quality alternative. So
There's DuckDuckGo and
yeah, there's a lot, but
Yeah.
I hate
but
Bing.
huh?
I hate Bing.
Yeah, I hate Bing too.
yeah, I don't
I
use
do.
Bing.
Yeah,
Nobody's
Garbage.
using Bing.
Nobody ever did.
nobody's using that.
Nobody's using
That's
it.
Yeah.
BlackBerry days.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You remember that with the scroll wheel? Yeah, I remember that. That
I was like, how do I get rid of this Bing thing?
Yeah.
I still get cracked up when I see my Facebook memories and it says like posted with my BlackBerry, because
Oh,
BlackBerry
wow.
used to like
Yeah.
subscript it on your
Yeah.
Facebook post to say that
Ah.
you posted it with a BlackBerry.
That's hilarious.
So it was good marketing, but
Yeah.
now
I
it's
actually
just
used a BlackBerry until like 2008.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had a BlackBerry probably in like 06,
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. Everybody
07,
did.
something like that.
Yeah, I think I got rid of my last BlackBerry probably around that same time too. I
Yeah.
think I had one maybe 2008, 2009.
Yeah, that's when I first got my
Yeah.
first iPhone. 2008, I believe.
2008 was my first iPhone. So, but Google owns YouTube, obviously, right? And so
Right.
one of the things being alleged is that they're predatory with how much revenue they take from the sponsors, from the ads. And so
Yeah.
they take 30%. Quote, check this number behind me, but they take a huge chunk, apparently, compared to in other forms like print media would take.
Right.
But they take 30% off the top. And so I think one of the things like a lot of these executives were saying is that there's no way to negotiate. And since they were the go-to channel, the go-to, I think Google's the most used search engine, and then second to that is YouTube, which is owned by Google.
Yep.
And so these advertisers are basically saying, we don't have a choice. There's not a way to compete against them.
Oh, yeah.
And so you get people like Motor Trend that just said, okay, well, we're going to start our own thing.
Right.
I think that greed plays into that. I think you got to come back to the negotiating board with Google or with YouTube and try to figure out something. Try to figure out a different package maybe, but I don't know. Is 30% too much for the services they provide?
Well,
How do you answer that?
these
Yeah,
magazine
that's a good point.
publishers though they were getting a subscription fee on top of the advertising. The advertising amount they were getting is probably the same, because you can even on YouTube you can
I
actually.
think advertising is cheaper now. To me.
Well, yeah, but I mean
Yeah.
you can have your own you can control your own advertising on YouTube. If you can
Yeah.
cut off
can,
YouTube
yeah.
advertising and have your own.
Yeah. You can demonetize yourself.
Well, that's
basically.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Demonetize
if you
yourself
look
and have
at
your own advertisers.
Yeah, most channels that are successful on YouTube that are apt to get demonetized or really know how to monitor that stuff, they have demonetized themselves, and they just do their own
Yeah,
Yeah.
their own
ads.
sponsors.
Yeah, they do their own sponsors in their videos,
But
because that's where the better
You should
money
call it
is.
Motor Trend and tell them that they need to fix it.
Motor Trend-
They've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they would listen to me.
What they
'cause I'm
should-
a sales engineer.
That's right. Yeah. What they
Probably the number one in the country.
I'm not the country.
All right. And North Carolina.
Yeah, I'll take North Carolina
in what you do in your field.
in
your
my field.
Yes.
Um,
Engineer wise.
Yeah,
Yeah, what-
sales engineer.
What they could do is set up a Patreon account
Yeah,
and have
Yeah.
special content for hardcore fans.
Yeah.
And the people that would subscribe to the magazine would probably subscribe to that.
And,
Yeah,
and maybe
that's
you
true.
need a girl that every time that they donate to the Patreon account that she
Jiggles her
goes,
boobs.
yeah, she comes up and jiggles and goes, good job, and shakes a little bit,
That's
like,
it.
or thank you.
Perfect.
there
Yeah.
you go.
Just sell out completely.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Throw a monkey the banana.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
What's that thing? It puts the lotion in the, from
Yeah.
That's funny.
yeah.
That's right. In the basket. Yeah.
Yes, it puts the lotion in the basket.
Yeah, I guess so. What's that movie? Came out back in like 2005, maybe.
Okay, good. You're narrowing it down. That's
Yeah.
gonna help me get there.
What is? It's
It is not The Godfather.
what is the name of that movie? It's
What's it about?
Give me.
I can't think of
10
the
things I
word.
hate about you. Just start naming.
Yeah.
it's got Ryan Reynolds in it.
Okay, there we
Oh
go.
wow.
All right.
Okay.
All
I may
right.
not have been off by
It's-
much.
Yeah.
Mediocrity.
Oh, mediocrity. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a certain part of society that's just that, and
Yeah.
I was
you
gonna
have
tell
to
you
cater to them too. So.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, but that's not one of my favorites with him. I'm just going to be honest with you.
You should watch it again.
Okay, I'll try it again.
Is
Probably
it going to grow
funnier
on
now.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
There's
think
just-
so?
There's a lot of funny ideas. It's not the best made movie, but there's some really funny.
I'm a
ideas
huge
in the
fan
movie.
of him. I'll check it out again just for you.
How
Yeah.
about that?
I'll report back.
It's very dystopian, but
Oh, yeah?
I don't think things will go that way because I think we'll probably merge with technology and become smarter. But if we didn't do that, then it could potentially go that way.
Let me ask you a question about Ryan Reynolds. I'm so good at doing like side chasing rabbit trails, but let me ask you a Ryan Reynolds question, especially since you're a fan. Do you feel like Ryan Reynolds is like one of the few people that started out as a cheaper version of another actor and then surpassed the other actor? Because I feel like Ryan Reynolds started out as like a cheap budget Ryan Gosling, but he passed him, right?
Yeah, he did it. Like his craft improved
I-
tremendously over the years.
It's really funny you make the Gosling comparison because that's kind of
They're very similar cast abilities.
I agree, especially at that point.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That's a really
I'd love
good- I
to
didn't-
track that kind
yeah.
of stuff about movies and actors, like that. You know, a person may start out
Yeah.
at one point as being like the budget version of somebody,
Yeah.
but at some point there's a transition, and then all of a sudden they become the better.
He
Yeah.
got so good,
Talent.
so
Yeah.
talented.
Help
yeah.
me out here because I don't see the connection unless Gosling was doing a bunch of rom-coms when he started off, and that's the tying fact. Because they do movies I like, but Ryan Reynolds, even though he does weird movies, is kind of more commercial. The other guy goes for little weirder roles and
Yeah,
stuff like
he
that.
has.
Yeah.
He does go for the more indie role. I
think
think
Ryan
about
Gosling's
it
the
as
more-
like from a casting standpoint,
Gotcha.
like
That's what I was thinking
castability,
about. Yeah.
Okay.
age,
So-
personality,
Appearance.
appearance.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Ryan Gosling's the more of a prettier guy.
Yeah,
I
and I
guess.
think because he's the prettier guy, he has made
Right.
a very like purposeful. I don't know. That's not
Kinda
a
as a
word.
niche.
An
What's
intentional effort
The
to
Notebook.
go to the
Castability.
like.
Right.
um,
'Cause I remember
Yeah.
the first movie I saw Gosling in was Believer.
Yeah.
And that was nothing nice
No.
about that. He played
No.
like a Jewish Nazi.
No,
You know,
yeah.
it's kind of interesting. It was a good
Yeah,
movie,
he
but-
Most
does
people
some
forget about
very
that one.
odd
Yeah, yeah.
indie roles.
He was in that movie, A Place Beyond the Pines was really good
Yeah,
too.
that's
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yeah. So when did the Notebook come out?
2002, maybe.
Yeah.
That's probably about
All right. So
right.
think about the Notebook.
3, something like that.
And then think about Ryan. Like I think about Ryan Reynolds, and I go and Gosling, and I look at that time frame, and I'm like, because you've got one that Ryan Reynolds did, which was something about where he was.
Was it Gone in 60 Seconds?
It's like How I Met Your Mother or something, or how
Oh.
not How I Met Your Mother, but where he got divorced. He has the daughter, and the show it's with it's Ryan Reynolds and his daughter the whole time, and they're going through like different relationships.
Oh, okay.
And he has the one that
Yes.
he really loves, and it's not the. He has a really good
Kind of a
relationship.
sad movie.
It's a sad movie. He has
Yeah.
a really good relationship with the child's mother, but the one he's in love with is actually a different woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, like when I look at like that type of role with Ryan Reynolds around the same time frame as The Notebook, like that love-esque, like that's where I sometimes made that same kind of. They're different, but like I started tying those two together. I don't know how close they are, but he was kind of like they are different. But I was thinking that one kind of
Similar
links.
cast.
Right.
Castability,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, but they do
Castability
take
standpoint.
weird movies. Well,
Yeah.
not weird. I like weird movies. But
Yeah, but I'm what's the other one with it's his I can't even remember his name now. Anyway, his wife cheats on him, he gets a divorce, or he's going through a divorce.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
And anyway, it's
name?
got Ryan Gosling in it.
Crazy Love.
Yeah, it's Crazy
Yes.
Stupid Love.
Crazy Stupid
Yeah,
Love.
Crazy
yeah.
Stupid
Yeah,
Love.
'cause it's got Steve Carell in it.
Yeah, Steve
Yeah.
Carell's my other guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Steve Carell. Ryan killed it in that. I think
Oh,
Ryan
he's
did an awesome job in
fantastic
that.
in that movie.
he's,
Yeah.
he's a good actor. Yeah.
And the smacking part.
Yeah.
I don't know why, man. All this stuff. Oh, you looking at my schmaz. Oh, you get the straw in your mouth. You know, you
Yeah.
like there's a lot of good shit in that I go, Gosling came back in this one because I feel like he
Right.
disappeared for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, he was doing those like really odd
Yeah.
indie films.
Yeah.
Like what was the one where he was like Lars
racing-
and the Real Girl? Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
good.
I
That's
did
a
see that.
weird.
Drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I did see
Drive.
it. Yeah,
So
Drive.
good.
Yeah,
And he
Yeah.
did that other movie with that same German director too. I forget what it was called. It was really good though, and really brutal. Shot in Thailand.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's really
Only
good.
God Forgives.
That's so good.
Man,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
good
check
movie.
that out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they
it's-
definitely went like completely different.
He's like the same character from Drive, just without a car.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's pretty
Drive
much-
is good.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
good
so
movie.
good.
It's pretty intense.
It's really good.
Oh, somebody else did a movie like that. Was what is the comedic actor? Black hair, tall guys in Wedding Crashers.
Vince
Vaughn.
Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, yeah.
Did you guys see the Vince Vaughn movie that came out 2 years ago? It's like Cell Block something.
No,
That's a brutal movie. I was like, wow, Vince Vaughn went way out on this movie.
really.
I can't
Yeah.
watch it. Vince Vaughn is, to me, is a specific type of comedy and humor, and
And he does a good job in this movie.
is it reminiscent of his stuff, or is it
No.
completely different?
It's
So I don't know.
completely-
Complete departure.
It may ruin it for me.
It's good, man. It's good.
That's pretty.
What's the one where they
It's
go on
dark.
couples retreat?
Dark character.
Oh, that's a fun movie.
That,
Yeah,
I
that's
love
pretty
couples
fun.
retreat.
Yeah,
right?
that's funny.
It's such a
That's
good
the
movie.
Vince Vaughn I love. Like that.
Yes.
Well,
like-
Wedding Crashers is
Yes.
awesome.
Wedding Crashers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vince and I have a lot in common, says my wife.
I think
like
the
Dodgeball?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dodgeball. One of the funniest things that I've ever heard Vince Vaughn do was not even an acting job. It was like an interview on Jimmy Fallon, and they did a game. I don't know if you guys have seen it. You'll have to YouTube it because it's probably got millions of views on YouTube. But they did a game where it's like a True Detective type thing where three of them sit around a table and they have two envelopes. One's true, one's a lie. And you pick one and you read it, and then the other two people have to guess if it's true or not. So it's him, Jimmy Fallon, and Colin Farrell. And they tell Colin Farrell to pick his, whichever envelope, and he pulls out the sheet and he reads it, and it says, "I was once arrested for like first-degree murder." And the way he explains it, they're like, "Oh, is this true? Is this not true?" Eventually they both. They agree. There's no way this is true. It's so crazy. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Not true. And then Colin Farrell just very deadpan. It's like, no, it's true. And then he's like, and they never found enough evidence to convict me of anything. And the way he explains how it worked out in his favor is very open-ended. It's very odd. You should pull this
I'll
up
check
and
that
watch
out,
it.
yeah.
You're gonna have to watch it.
So like a month later, Vince Vaughn's on promoting another movie. He comes in, sits down in the chair, Jimmy immediately wants to start talking about the movie, and Vince Vaughn, in his very Vince Vaughnian way, like is like, no, we have to stop. And like, this is the video to watch second. You need to watch the one first and then watch this second. Because in only the way he can deliver comedy, he's like, we just experienced a very odd thing, you and I together. We heard someone possibly, confess to murder on your show. And there's no proof, you could just see his mannerisms doing it. There's no way I could do an impression of him. But you have to watch this video because it'll freak you out about Colin Farrell, right? But B, you're like, Vince Vaughn is the same guy all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't turn it off.
Yeah.
His
Except for that
speed of thought.
That movie I'm talking about,
Yeah.
he's acting like he's.
I don't know. It may ruin it
character.
for me because I know my truth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing Vince Vaughn quotes,
His-
like
his-
in everyday life from now on.
just
I
in
think.
everyday life.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. It's funny.
I'm gonna have to check that out though.
Yeah. Just YouTube Vince Vaughn, Colin Farrell, Jimmy Fallon.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
It's it'll blow your mind.
I'll have to watch it.
Oh, damn it.
Um,
Tangents.
That's right.
Yeah.
I told you that's
Totally.
I'm so good at it.
we're way out there now.
Yeah. That's my wife barely will listen to my automotive podcast because I can derail us.
That's what I want to
so
ask
quickly.
you about the automotive podcast. So,
You're welcome, Segway.
Yeah. So what? I know it's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
You guys are picking up a good number of followers, and what's your direction with that, or what are your goals with that podcast?
Well, I think initially my direction and goals were for us to just have a good time and keep talking about cars and, kind of force us as like a side hobby to just stay up to date on what's going on in the automotive industry. But inadvertently, it's turned me into a bit of a typecast. So now I'm like the old curmudgeon who doesn't like new technology. And maybe that's because I'm an old curmudgeon who doesn't like new technology. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where it's going. And so it's like I'm becoming a character of myself on a podcast. And it's very odd to see this like natural progression of this. But, if it just allows me to stay better connected with a friend who, lives 300 miles away, then that's great. If it does anything else, that's just icing on top for us to just be able to stay connected, keep having conversations, and somehow we have tricked our wives into this being like some kind of a business type thing.
Shh, don't say that.
They're never
My
gonna.
wife watches.
Mine will never listen to a full podcast of video. If it goes beyond 15 minutes, she's out.
She's out.
Yeah. And it transfers. It's like family dynamic, unilateral. It transfers to my daughter too, because if we're in the car and I'm like, hey, let's listen to my new podcast so you guys can hear what I said. Like 3 minutes in, my daughter's like, can we have music? Like she's just dying. She just can't take. But now if I turn music on, she wants to talk because she gets the talking from me, so she just wants to talk. But if it's me talking on the radio, she's done. She's out.
That's funny.
Anyway.
I've gotten really lucky though with the wives listening thing. I say all kinds of things throughout the things, and sometimes I'll be like, "I love you, honey," or da da da, and I'll say special messages to her. And I'm thinking that when she watches it, she'll say something. Oh, I saw that. That was cute, or thank you, or I love you, or whatever, right? But see, here's what I've caught. See, in the beginning, she was watching them start to finish. Now, what I've caught is she's watching like clips, and I think she's fast.
She's skipping.
I think she's skipping. I think she's like, "Oh yeah, baby." So she's watching just enough to like talk about it, like, "Oh yeah, I've watched it," but not watching them all, and not watching and so I'm like, "Oh, I think I know what's going on." So last night, her and I were discussing this, and I was just like, "So you really watching?" And she's like, "Oh, I've just been really busy." I was like, "For like how long? Like 3 months? You just been busy?" I try to give her a hard time, but
That's so funny.
she's got 500 things going on. But
I think our viewer base is like 85% men.
it is.
It doesn't surprise
understandable.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure our car podcast is
All
at
men.
least that, if not better.
She says-
95%.
She says,
Right.
"I listen to you talk all the time. Like it's not what I want to do." She said, "There are other podcasts I want to listen to." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, like my wife, when she's in the vehicle driving, which is probably when she would listen, music is just a background thing. She's
Right.
not really engaging with what
She's thinking about other stuff.
Yeah, she's thinking
Yeah.
about the 900 other things she has going on
Yeah.
in her life. So
Right.
to turn me on and have me yapping in the background is not very attractive to her.
She's not
You know,
super interested in cars either, is she?
No, she's not.
Yeah.
She's not. But
Yeah.
every once in a while, we'll be somewhere and there'll be a car, whatever kind it might be, and she may go, "Oh, that's a pretty good looking Mercedes," and I'll be like, "What? Who are you? You're not my normal wife. You're a different wife. You're like a loner wife that cares about cars. You're not a normal wife."
She's wife
funny.
that knows her husband is going to be salesman of the year in North Carolina and
Yeah,
wants a
that's
new
what-
Mercedes.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. She's not getting a new Mercedes, I can tell you that. She's got her 1996 Lexus, so we're going to keep driving that.
Hey,
Oh, these guys are real conservative with their.
I only own one
Vehicles.
car right now. Only one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
yeah, I only own one, and I've got partners that own a lot of cars. I'll just leave it at that, and other things. But anyway, I've got one. But I got to tell you, because I think it's interesting. I signed an NDA, so I can't tell you how much. But I sold I had a Lamborghini, and I bought it this year. I bought it, I think, in March.
Yeah.
Very, very unique.
Right after the shutdown.
Yeah, very unique
Yeah.
circumstance.
Right.
When the pandemic first hit, especially high-end cars, a lot of industry in general just tanked
Right.
temporarily, right?
Yes.
So I got a really good deal. I got a good deal to go ahead and move forward. And I weighted the options. I wasn't sure that I should do it because the world's in chaos, right? But I went ahead and pulled the trigger. So something weird has happened. The used market has gone stupid,
Yes.
right? So I sold it. Now it's probably been 7 or 8 weeks ago, but I actually sold it for more than what I paid for it.
Yep.
And I put 14,800 miles on it in the meantime
Wow.
on a Lamborghini.
Wow. That's a lot of miles
Yeah.
on Lamborghini.
Urus. Yeah.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
the on the SUV, the Urus.
yeah.
And,
Even if it's the Urethra, it's still a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
miles. It's a lot
I think
of
that's urethra.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But no, I agree. And so I sold it. My wife's like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, I'll borrow company vehicles, or
Yeah.
I'll rent vehicles, or I'll take her like I did today. So I'm literally driving a vehicle. It says, I can't say the name of the tag, but it references my children and my mother and my wife
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the tag, so you know it's a female's car. And I'm driving it. And she's like, "You don't care?" I'm like, "Not at all, not at all."
Right.
So we're a 1-car household right now.
Yeah, but
See,
you've already
that's
pre-ordered it.
Couple.
Yeah, that's
Things,
what I'm thinking.
yeah.
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 You just don't
I
want
got-
to buy
I got a,
something while you're waiting.
I got a 21 Urus that's.
There's
I've
another
ordered.
COVID problem though, right? It should have already been out.
Yeah, and I got a 21 Lamborghini Huracan.
Okay.
All rear-wheel drive Spider.
Nice.
So I got that and a 21 Escalade with Super Cruise. I'll be here in December, I think. So.
Oh, okay.
So I'm making up for it.
Well, Stanley's going to love you because he's all about that Escalade and
That
all
Escalade's-
of those screens in there. He's
Yeah.
just so excited
That
about
Escalade's on. Listen, that Escalade changed the game. My wife was looking at Mercedes SUVs, and we've been Escalade for a long time. And I got to tell you, I've been highly disappointed in Escalade when compared to other things.
it. Yeah.
Mostly, it's been most prevalent like in the last 18 months, 24 months, ever since Lincoln. I'm not a Lincoln fan, but Lincoln
Yeah.
rocked the market with some of the changes they did. They
Navigator's
came back
nice.
in a big way, and I started to get disappointed with Escalade because they've just not been innovative at all. And I've got the vehicle I'm driving now is a 2020 Escalade, and it's just not impressive.
Right.
Right. But that 21, like they overhaul. Like I'm
Big
telling
change.
you, the Mercedes that's comparable to it.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm talking about down to the spec, like just deck the Escalade out the best you want with the Super Cruise. You're going to spend $130,000. Take the same thing and do it with a Mercedes. It's probably 170, right?
Yep.
But the Escalade wins like category after category after category after category. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But they really did some damage, and you can get them. You don't have to spend that much. You can be in. I think you're going to be upper 90s to $100,000
Oh, yeah.
on any one of them, honestly, which seems ridiculous, but
Yeah.
say la vie.
Yeah. Anything in that market's going to be in that price.
Yeah.
So, 2 days ago, yesterday, the Hummer EV was revealed.
Looks cool. Yeah. It's
I
interesting.
mean, I don't want to like it, but dang,
I
it
know.
does
Yeah.
some cool stuff.
It's
I
got,
still like the Rivian a lot better though.
I do too.
it's
Yeah.
gotten crazy, man. The car thing, I don't know where it snuck up on us, but I feel like cars have gotten expensive.
They
Like,
have.
It's just
like,
ridiculous.
they've increased by like
So
30% in the
expensive.
past 5 years.
Yeah.
It seems
Yeah.
like.
But it's, I think we're front loading technology expenses is what
Oh,
we're
that's
doing.
true.
Yeah.
I think we're paying a lot for mediocre cars right now so that in 10 years we can have super advanced cars.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. Yeah.
Because we're just helping fund a lot of that research and development.
Yeah.
Because the Hummer EV sounds really cool and awesome right now, but it's going to be really outdated in its range and battery and performance in 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's the reason it's $112,000 starting price.
Yeah.
Do you follow Lex Friedman?
No.
He's a MIT engineer, scientist.
I think I've heard the name, but I don't.
He's got a really good podcast, but he just had a guy on there yesterday. His name is George Cott or something.
Cunt?
Cott, I think.
I was going to say Orwell, but
Orwell.
I guess I missed it. Yeah.
I can't remember his last name, but he's a programmer, like one of the top programmers in the world, and he worked for Steve Jobs briefly, and then he worked for Elon Musk for a long time at Tesla, and now he has his own company, and he develops autonomous driving software, and he said that he believes that they'll have level 5 autonomous technology this decade.
Wow.
So it was pretty interesting. He also said that that Super Cruise system is really good. He said that Tesla and the Super Cruise system that's Cadillac's going to use are the best two out there. He said Tesla's still a little bit ahead of it, but
I'm glad to hear
Really?
that because I'll tell you, in Cadillac, and I should be the spokesperson for the new Cadillac. I want to let you know I got a really good relationship with our local dealer and former car business guys, so I fit in well with those guys. I get in the back, and so I'm in the back, and this is when they've got one
Right.
that they're taking all around the country showing people,
Right.
or two, and I get in the back with another big guy my size, and I joked, I was like, I should be on your commercial. I was like, because this thing comfortably holds 700 pounds of man meat in the back row, in the third row,
Wow.
right?
In
Like
the
literally
third row.
in the third row.
wow.
So they've solved in the Escalade. They've solved this issue with the third row where they changed the way the suspension works, and you literally have a full size third row. I've got a couple inches above my head, and I'm 6'3",
Yeah.
currently 300 and let's say 40 pounds. At the time, I was more probably like 380, 390, and I'm a big guy, right? And I'm back there comfortably with the middle row seats all the way back and with the front row seats all the way back. Like, they've really solved the issue.
And that's the standard size too.
That's
right?
correct. Yeah, it increased, the third row increased by 9 additional inches for room.
Man,
So
that's huge.
Yeah, so you don't have to go with the extended version. You don't have to get the one that's huge. You're going to get an extra 9 inches on the base one. So I think that's big. But the one claim I wasn't entirely sure about was they said that the Super Cruise, which is their version of Tesla's, well, I believe it uses based on LiDAR instead, but they claim that the Super Cruise is more accurate, more effective at driving on, I can't remember if they said 3,500 roads or 3,500. There's something, but that on those roads they outperform Tesla,
Okay.
Interesting.
and that system outperforms it supposedly. So who knows, man? But it's
Supposed to
interesting.
be a good system though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like some hybrid system is coming in the future where it's going to be a mixture of the LiDAR technology and Tesla's technology, but I could be wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
I know that he was talking about they're using infrared technology now too, in some of the stuff. And I think Tesla's getting ready to overhaul some stuff.
Well, they just unveiled some crazy new battery technology too that's going to
They
change
lead
everything.
the world in battery technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just always very innovative. I feel like there's a huge split in automotive culture coming. Because I think it's been growing for a while, but I
Yeah.
think technology is driving the split.
Yeah.
Because you have people like me who come across as an old curmudgeon who doesn't like technology, and I do like technology in cars. You know?
Yeah. But you got guys like me who just I love
Want an
technology.
appliance.
Yeah.
That that you want to interact with an appliance or
I want it to be a part of me.
a computer.
Yeah. I
when
dive in.
You get in the car, you want it to take you from A to B, and you want to interact with some cool features.
Yeah.
But the actual physical connection of you operating the vehicle and doing mechanical things, you don't want to feel like you're running a steam engine.
Right.
You just want to be able to push some buttons, have the car talk to you, do some fun things.
Yeah. Now, if I'm on the racetrack, though, I want to feel it.
Yeah.
But that's different.
Yeah, that's
For
different.
off road or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Are you looking for more like a visceral experience
Yeah,
with
that's
the car?
right.
He'd
And I
love to
think-
have like a 80s.
Yeah,
cars.
100%. I mean, and I would 100% take like a 1980 wide body 911
Yeah.
with a Tesla hack.
I kind of like that a lot, actually.
You know, I would drive that, even though there's a lot of technology in it. It would still be this small, tactile, very visceral experience. Maybe just without the engine note.
Right.
Now with cars though, I like that visceral experience. I even like the combustion engine. You know, like the
Yeah.
loud. You know, just you can just feel it. But
That naturally aspirated.
But I like your idea of doing an older car with
Yeah.
a electric modification where you could still feel the road and stuff, but you've
Yeah.
got this electric power. That's just
Yeah,
So-
and it sounds appealing to everybody until you say, well, just don't crash it because you know your A pillar is this big. So
Oh, yeah.
you are going to die when you wreck it because it is still a 70.
you can put a roll cage in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
yeah. They make those small.
I was going to say there's a safety issue there too, though. So
Yeah.
how do you take that? This segues me to how do you feel about the new Bronco? That, by the way, in their latest commercial, the motor wasn't even in it, so
Yeah,
they pushed it.
yeah.
So,
That
by the
yellow
way-
one that's been running around the country on 37-inch tires. It's a display and it's a static display. It doesn't even have. It's a golf cart motor in it, so they can move it on flat ground and that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a commercial that's made, and they start at the top of a hill, and it's literally just been pushed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you know,
That sounds eerily reminiscent to somebody that got. Remember the 18-wheeler?
Nikola.
Nikola. Yeah, it sounds
Oh,
eerily
yeah, yeah.
reminiscent too.
Yeah, that was a 18-wheeler rolling downhill on a highway.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah,
But
Bronco's
hey.
done that. So how do you
It
feel about
worked
the?
for Nikola?
Yeah.
GM bought a gigantic stake in the company based on
Yeah.
some of that fake stuff. So
nonsense.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think we've heard the last of all the court proceedings that are going to come out against Nikola.
I agree.
I think they're dead before they started because
Yeah.
I saw them at SEMA last year, and they had their side by side, and the thing was making like 700 foot-pounds of torque in a side by side. And I was like, wow, these guys are going to destroy the market. Well, if it's all lies,
Yeah.
you can make any claim you want, you know.
Yeah. These
but-
are hypothetical. I don't even know what the word, the right word is, but they had like these proposed things that could happen.
Yes,
Like
that's
this
exactly
question
right.
mark here
That's
of
exactly right. But, everybody does it. Everybody pushes it. I mean, GM unveiled this Hummer, and they're saying that it has like 11,500 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah.
But that's theoretical torque.
right.
That's
theoretical.
believable.
That was the word I
That's-
was looking for.
Yeah,
Theoretical.
because that's three separate motors. There's
Yeah.
two motors in the rear making like 350 horsepower or 350 pound-feet
Yeah.
of torque apiece.
Yeah.
There's one in the front making like 375, and then they all run through some sort of reduction gear set so that multiplies the torque. So if you use those same theoretical calculations, like a Duramax diesel is making like 17,000 foot-pounds of torque in these theoretical numbers.
Oh, okay.
So the Hummer doesn't sound as cool all of a sudden.
Right. Well, electric motors do produce a lot more torque, though.
It's torque at 0 RPM, right?
Yeah.
It's instant torque.
Instant torque,
that's
yeah.
that's a lot of the difference. But it's still marketing
Yeah.
genius is what it is. And so there's marketing and all of that. I'm excited about the Bronco, but I have a lot of reservations about the Bronco. In fact, I have a reservation for a Bronco.
Well, I was going to ask you because I was thinking about buying, and I'm not this way. Gunny, one of our partners, I'll just leave it at Gunny. But Gunny is very much like turning wrenches, hands on.
Yeah.
He's got multiple car. He works on his own stuff. He's got car lifts. He's got everything, right? And I've thought about buying an old Bronco and having, because he would gladly do it, but having him help me just fully restore it, right?
That'd be cool.
And instead, I'm like, oh, well, they're bringing, and the new Bronco's not even going to be out till probably April, May of next year. I don't know. What are they telling you?
June, July, probably,
Okay,
before
there you go.
vehicles are hitting dealerships.
Yeah, so let's say third quarter of next year. That's a long time. I'm very impatient when it comes to
Yes.
things like this. So a delayed gratification is not one of my strong suits when it comes to something like this, where I'm like, oh, I can buy this now, or I can wait till third quarter next year and get this Bronco that is a question mark as to whether or not I really like it. So that's why
Yeah.
I know you're a car guy. So
Yeah, it's a tough decision. So old Broncos, they're really doing well right now. They're selling well. The thing is, though, they're either becoming like garage queens,
That's not
or
what I
you
would do,
see
yeah.
the same Bronco come up for sale. Like
Over
on
and
Bring a Trailer, it'll say, oh, sold in November of last year on Bring a Trailer. And it's like, oh, so this vehicle's changed hands 3 or 4 times, and it's because, okay, you put a Coyote motor in it. Okay, you put $20,000 worth of suspension under it. You put new wheels and tires on it. You put a new stereo in it. But and I'm the small guy in the circle of the three of us. But we are a lot bigger than we were in 1960, right? And cars in 1960 sucked. I mean, they really did.
They did, yeah.
They looked great, but they had to look good to overcome the fact that they sucked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
I mean,
you can spend all of that money
steering
you
movement and
want,
stuff.
but if you're not used to the road feel of a solid front axle vehicle, when you get in that old Bronco and the rest of your car stable is Mercedes and Lexus and Maybachs, and you get in your $200,000 Bronco and you take off to go to the grocery store in it, the first time you hit a rut in the road where the pavement's uneven and the front end tracks with it weird, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this thing's terrible. Well, it's not terrible. It's nostalgic. That's the way all cars work.
I mean, you could fully resto mod one, and that'd be the way to go.
Even if you fully resto mod it, you're still driving a vehicle whose geometry is based in the 1960s.
That's true.
You're not
yeah.
fixing that, right? I mean, that's
Well, you could change the suspension and the all that stuff.
you
the
can,
axles
but you're
and
still
everything.
dealing with like an 88-inch wheelbase,
Yeah,
and
it's gonna be wider.
I mean,
that
it's-
makes sense.
All trucks kind of have that shifty feel, though.
Well, you answered the question for
Jeeps
me.
are really
I'm
bad
not
about
the
that.
old school kind of purist. I'm not. Like, I like it. I see some of the Vin
Yeah.
Diesel stuff where I see him like that. You do it on, and I'm like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. And then I'm like, no, I want the newest technology.
right.
You
Well,
know.
every vehicle serves a purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, Neil had I'm gonna talk about it on my podcast when you guys are on there, but
Well, he can't be on there, unfortunately.
We'll see. I'm
okay.
enjoying this. Maybe I can move my wife's dinner. And what time's the podcast tonight?
7:30.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What time's the debate tonight too? Hold on, let me just
Probably
while
9.
we're recording
probably
right now.
9,
Let me
yeah.
see if I can move something.
But every vehicle serves a purpose. Where you are in your life may be very far removed from what a vehicle's purpose is, so then
Right.
that vehicle's not right for you.
Yeah.
If it's a track weapon, then you should only drive that vehicle on a track.
Right.
Don't
Right.
think that you can logically commute in that.
Yeah.
Right.
You
yeah.
know, or if
take it to
you're-
Cars and Coffee or something.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you're a business executive and you have to take people out to lunch who arrived in a helicopter, a Scion XB is not the choice, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
Every car has a purpose.
Yeah.
And so knowing what you want to do with that vehicle will make you a lot happier with that vehicle.
I agree.
Yeah.
If
that's
you're if you're not willing to think about that beforehand and you just buy based on the way it looks or what you perceive it will be like
Or price.
or price,
Right.
Yeah.
you're never going to be fully satisfied with that vehicle because
Yeah.
you didn't buy it with the right intention.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I've got a curse. Every time I buy something, I'm always looking for my exit. Actually, before I buy it, I'm looking for my exit, and so that's why I don't have a Lamborghini right now.
Right.
So like, I'll buy something. I don't get emotionally attached to these things.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, that's the only issue I run into is that easy come, easy go for me. I'll sell it. I'll buy it today and sell it tomorrow.
Right.
But I overthink my purchase. What you're saying is very true. Like, this is the problem with the Escalade. Like, what else? Let's say a mother with 3, 4, 5 kids, some in car seats,
Yep.
right? What vehicle other than an Escalade, right? You're going to do a minivan?
Yeah. I mean,
And even then, it's not as big as the Escalade.
it's not, but I think we've gotten to a point now. It's like an arms race too with vehicles, especially for female drivers.
Yeah.
Minivans have become stigmatized because if you're in a minivan and you get behind an Escalade,
Yeah.
as a woman, now you can't even see what's coming in front of you down the road. So
That's right.
in the back of your mind, you think, I got to get one of those so I can see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And guys do it too. Maybe just the more Napoleon like you are, the more it affects you. But so I don't know. To me, a minivan, I've never been a minivan person. I would
No.
personally never own a minivan.
Yeah.
But I do think, again, like you said, if you're that mother with 3 car seats in the car and you think you want to Escalade, but you don't go drive a Toyota Sienna and try out the vacuum cleaner in it, you just assume that the Escalade's going to answer all of your problems.
Right.
You may eventually find that you're not that happy with the Escalade
I agree.
Yeah.
only because you didn't check all your options.
Well,
Yeah.
a minivan is a kid hauler.
That's right.
I mean, it really is designed for it. It's low to the ground. It's easy to get in and out of.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
we
benefits.
we date girls in high school and college.
Kids don't
that we
open the doors in
marry
other vehicles.
for a reason.
I agree.
Because we're like, I don't want to live the rest of my life with this person who, picks food out of her teeth with her fork and it scrapes, or whatever that thing is. You experience experiment with people the same way you should do it with cars. You should go look at any car that fits that criteria.
Yeah.
To check those boxes to see, because if you just assume that this thing's going to satisfy your every want and desire, it's probably not going to.
No, you're exactly. I don't care how much you spend. You're exactly right. So, do you have an input on why very, very expensive cars in the United States wouldn't have cup holders in them? You have any opinion on that?
Well, I do. I mean, I have an opinion on everything. That's why I have a podcast. Yeah, they don't have cup holders because you should be driving and not drinking, right? You don't.
Minimalist over there.
Yeah, that's right. Minimalist. I mean,
I like it.
In the 80s, you couldn't buy a BMW that had a cup holder in it, unless it was a 7 Series, and then they were in the back seat, because if you're driving, you should be driving.
And the Germans still don't want it there.
No, that's
The
why they put
engineers,
ridiculous little pop-out cup holders
Yeah.
in stupid places. 'Cause they're like, you don't need a.
It's like Porsches.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You get these tiny. You get 2 cup holders. That's it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
too
it
many.
might hold one of those little like water fountain cups.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't
Yeah,
need
no
a
big
big
gulps in
cup.
there. Yeah.
No, you're not.
The
putting a big
Lamborghini
gulp.
Urus has cup holders. The SUV.
Yeah.
The Huracan does not.
Yeah.
Well, Huracan probably shouldn't have cup holders.
Well, I agree, but I was
Yeah.
driving, and I was like, oh, I got my drink. I'm in the car. I'm having a great time. I'm like, where the fuck do I put
You
my
gotta have
drink?
bottled drinks.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what I did.
Sit
I
in the
just
seat. Yeah.
just get a bottle of drink and sit in the seat. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I guess that's what you do.
Yeah.
Or like you said, you don't drink anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have this problem with cars that, especially with new cars. So I'm excited about the Bronco, or I'm like moderately excited about the Bronco, and this is problematic of my problem. But a new thing will come out, whether it's a vehicle or a camera or whatever stuff I'm into.
Electric Hummer.
Yeah, electric Hummer. If it piques my interest, I will like overindulge on information gathering.
I do
I'll
the
like
same thing.
oversaturate it.
Yeah.
And so by the time the product is actually available, or I physically put my hands on it, I've already mentally experienced everything it has to offer intellectually, and then I'm disappointed in it. Right? And so I'm already at that point with the Bronco, because there's not been a lot of information, but there's been enough information out to like quell every thought process you could have
Yeah.
into like pre-ownership of a vehicle. So I've like already went through in my mind of how I would use this, how I would use this, how I would do this with it. And so it's not even out yet, and I already find myself like thinking, maybe I'm not going to be that happy with it. And I haven't even sat in the thing yet. Like, how can I really make that determination? The building price doesn't even go live until midnight tonight. So I haven't even looked at all the options and with price tags attached to them yet.
Yeah.
But I can already find myself like wavering. And then I contrast that with the new Land Rover Defender, even though it's a unibody, but it is a similar vehicle
I like
with
it.
off-road abilities.
I like it a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
It came out, and I watched like one video on it, and I was like, yeah, Land Rover, problematic, probably wouldn't like it, not going to really worry myself with it. I'll hold out for this Bronco.
Yeah.
Well, so killing some time and thinking about, if I don't get the Bronco, what else would I get? So I went and test drove a Land Rover Defender over here at the Land Rover Range Rover dealership in Greensboro like 2 weeks ago. I didn't even get out of the parking lot, and I was like, I love this thing.
They're nice.
This is so nice. I could drive this every day. I was instantly smitten.
Yeah.
Almost to the point of like mentally, I could start making reasons why I wasn't worried about the horrible service record or reliability.
They're pretty reliable now.
They're
they're
better.
pretty good now,
They're
yeah.
better.
I'll tell you,
I never had trouble with mine.
In 2010, it was terrible. Me and Gunny had terrible problem with ours. Yours did okay.
Mine were great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Had a couple of
you
them.
had a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Is that the build you sent me? Was the Defender? What did you send me recently?
Yeah, the Defender. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
so he was looking at it too.
I spec'd one out. It was like 103,000 the way I wanted it though.
holy cow!
Had the ladder on the side. and
Yeah,
all
I
that
had the
stuff.
ladder on the side of mine too. I
Yeah.
spec mine out. It was like 63,000.
I think I had the bigger motor.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't get the
Yeah.
bigger motor because it's a hybrid. Like, that's weird to me that your only option to go bigger is to buy a hybrid system.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of strange.
It's an inline 6 with a hybrid.
I still
or
like
a
that Rivian
four-cylinder.
the best though.
Man, I do too. That Rivian.
And the
there's
price
something
point's
about
great,
it.
and it's got the technology's just awesome in it. That's what I don't like about the
The Hummer.
the Ford
Bronco.
the Bronco is I don't like Ford's technology. I don't like their head unit.
Okay.
The sync system, I don't like
Yeah.
the sync. I've got an F-250, and I hate the sync system.
Well, the Bronco supposedly has like their newest version that's not really out
Like the
yet
one
on
of the
anything else.
The Mustang.
Yeah, like the Mach-E.
Yeah, Mach-E.
But it also has like this thing, because the Bronco's all about that like overlanding, off-roading lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so it has a system in there where you have all these like dedicated trail maps for like national parks.
Oh,
and
that's
stuff.
cool.
So you have like GPS for off-roading. So
Interesting.
that's, a little bit different. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not the biggest technology person either. If I'm building and pricing a vehicle online and there's like a smaller screen option, I usually pick that.
Oh, yeah. See, I like the big. I want it to be all screen.
See,
I want to talk
don't.
to it.
See, you
I
don't
don't,
want me
'cause-
as your salesperson because I'm going to upsell you not based on the fact that you need it or that you want it or the technology's great. I'm going to upsell you based on resale value.
See,
Well, that's true. That's a good
but-
point. Yeah.
But okay, so and that works on most people, but my average car ownership
But he
is
keeps them
10
so
years.
long.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter then.
Yeah, so it doesn't really affect
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You don't sell me with that. And then the other problem that I'm very problematic for a car salesman because A, I'm a salesman. B,
Yeah.
I will order a vehicle with only the options I want, and I'll wait 6 months for it. I don't care.
Yeah,
I
not in a
don't
hurry.
have to have it today.
Yeah.
Right. I'm very victim to delayed gratification and want to have something, but I can make myself wait. I can say, no, I don't need that. I'll wait on it. And so that's very difficult for a car salesman to deal with too, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need what's on the lot. We talked about it on the car podcast that I heard from a dealer, a reputable dealer. We were just having, he wasn't trying to sell me anything. We were just talking. And so I asked him, I was like, how many people come to a lot, because we were talking about ordering the Bronco and having to wait on it. I said, how many people come to this lot and leave with exactly what they want?
Oh,
That's
small.
a good question.
It's so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so small. So it was like 60-some% of people come to the dealership looking for a vehicle with certain options and leave with other options.
Yeah.
Crazier, like 70% of people come to the dealership looking for a specific car and leave with a car of a completely other brand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I was in the car business, very short-lived, but early on, I did really well in banking, and a guy that owns some local dealerships, I won't say his name, but basically I had won some awards in a very, very small town for the whole state of North Carolina. I was very young, and he says, I want you to come in and spin paper, which is F&I.
Okay.
So at 19, and I owned several businesses as well, several other small businesses. But at 19, I went in, I was spinning paper, running the F&I office, and did well with that, and subsequently got into be a sales manager, et cetera. And then what's the whole point is, you would not believe, though, that most people come wanting a car and leave with what they can afford or what their credit will approve them for.
Right. That's exactly right. They settle out
Yep.
or a salesman talks them into getting into something to
Yeah.
just drive it or look at it because the salesman has gauged what their payment it can be
Yep.
or what their credit most likely is.
Yep.
And then they
Yep.
get in it, and because it's nicer, cleaner, and newer than what they pulled in on the
Yep.
lot on, they leave in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't consider another car in that class. There's something that, like, I guess Tesla's the only car company that does something different where they have stores and not dealerships.
Right.
But I think the same mentality still happens. There's something with the people in America that when we go to a car dealership, it's like the dead men walking to the executioner. It's a one-way trip. If I'm going to the car lot, it's because I am ready to buy. So when I get there, I have to leave in something.
Yeah, see, I'm
Right.
not like that at all.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, we're the minority
Yeah.
of people that are willing to go to a car dealership, deal with the salesman. I'll handle my business card right out the gate and be like, here's my name, phone number. You'll have all the contact stuff. You can text me 200 times tomorrow. I don't care. I'm here to look at this vehicle and get an opinion about it, and I may or may not come back and buy it.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. I don't care if they.
I usually spend a few months looking at different
Yeah.
vehicles before I
Yeah.
buy something.
I think by the time you get there, you already know what you want to
Yeah.
the T.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm ready to buy, I go to buy it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them, where's the manager? Let me just go ahead and make this simple
circumvent
and
this
quick.
process. Yeah.
That's,
I think the car process needs to be overhauled, but there's a lot of people making a lot of money keeping it the way it is.
Oh, for sure.
But Tesla's the closest one to disrupting it because they technically don't have you know, they've got their vehicles classed as appliances, and they have facilities where you can go in and view them,
Yes.
but you can't buy them at that facility.
No,
I
it's a
think
store.
Rivion's going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a store. I mean, there's a reason why the Tesla store in Concord sat empty for almost a year, and it's because the dealer network of North Carolina said we don't want them.
Yeah.
It
Every
infringes.
state did that, actually.
Yeah, every state did
Yeah,
it.
they're
Tesla had
trying,
to sue
yeah.
all the states.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, it was like 30
It's
some
insane.
lawsuits
Like, it makes
because
no
all these
sense.
dealer networks said we don't want that kind of competition. We don't want
Yeah.
people to be able to buy direct from the company
Yep.
and cut out the sales process.
Yep.
And I mean, there you
Which
you
actually would save
need-
everybody money if they did that.
Well, yeah, it would save everybody money,
Yeah.
but it also requires customers to be in a different headspace, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Tesla customer, you're going in for one of two reasons. One, because you've educated yourself on the Tesla and you know everything about what it's capable of.
Right.
Or B, you're just buying it as a status symbol and you want to pretend like it's saving the planet.
Right, yeah.
Those are the two reasons you buy a Tesla.
Yeah.
Right? And so those people go in already knowing. You don't have mom with 3 kids that just came from soccer practice and, you know, her van's ticking and she thinks a Tesla is something that might be a good change and she wants to just kind of check them out.
No.
Right, yeah.
They don't go to the Tesla store to do
No.
that.
No.
That's true.
No, you're right. No, but the only reason I'm interested in a Tesla, and I went to buy one, and I went to test drive one rather, and it just wasn't enough for me. It was too. We've talked about this before, but it was too.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel real. I don't know how to explain it. The
Right.
driving experience didn't feel real. It didn't feel. It was unnatural, and I'm still like the Urus. I had a visceral experience in an SUV. That's basically my experience with the Urus. Like
Yeah.
it felt borderline. It's the closest thing that that I could describe to visceral in an SUV. And then when you get in the any convertible version of any car at that level,
Yeah.
it's very visceral. It's the closest thing to riding a motorcycle that I can remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
for
right.
sure.
And I did not get that in the Tesla. And then not only that, I didn't even enjoy the driving experience. Now, what I was looking for the Tesla for was because I commute. I'm literally about 4 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Yep.
And depending on what times I leave and when I come back, that might be as little as like 3 hours and 40 minutes or as many as like 4 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was solely looking at it as a way to, as a commuter vehicle,
Yep.
right? And we had thought about putting at one point the superchargers out here and getting some stuff done, but I just couldn't get into it. So, but we'll see. I don't know. We had thought about it. I had
Yeah.
talked about it. So that's why I'm optimistic about the Cadillac with the Super Cruise. That may be what I use to commute.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
don't know.
much
I don't know
more
where I
convenient.
fall into that Tesla group, but it just didn't check that box for me.
I like Tesla a lot because I like Elon Musk. I think
I like him,
He's
yeah.
important at some of the stuff he's doing. But
Tesla's not a car company; it's a technology. To me,
Yes,
it's a technology
technology
true.
company.
That's
technology
true.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
But-
car itself is just a platform to showcase technology being
Yeah.
developed by
Right.
Yeah.
Tesla.
But that Rivian, well, the Rivian truck and SUV are just like, to me, the way they look.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best looking
Yeah.
truck on the market.
I think so too. And
It-
so if you've got people that are watching this podcast that are used to business stuff and they're like, what the heck is all this car talk? That's the Rivian R1T is the
Yeah,
truck and the
R1T.
R1S is the SUV.
Yeah, and they look like the R1S looks a lot like a Range Rover.
It
the
does. I mean, it just
R1T looks
standard
like
2-box SUV.
yeah, the R1T looks like if you took a Ford Raptor and a Range Rover and bred them,
Yeah.
it would
That's pretty
create that
accurate.
R1T.
Yeah.
And it's got tons of power. It's got like 750 horsepower and 1,000 pound-feet of torque.
plenty.
And it's got tank turns, so if you're off road, you can turn in a 360
Yeah.
stationary. And it's got tons of storage. It's got a 400 plus mile range.
Yeah.
It's got a skateboard chassis, so the battery's the whole bottom of the truck. And it was supposed to already be out, but unfortunately, COVID messed that up.
Yeah. I mean, when
So they're
they
looking
had
at June
this
now, I think.
gigantic plant, that was, I think it was a Mitsubishi
Yep.
plant that they
Yeah,
were
really nice.
refurbishing and turning into a new production facility. So I think COVID slowed all of that.
Yeah,
And so obviously you can't tool up a factory if the factory's not toolable.
yeah. And the guy that owns it's also an engineer like Elon Musk.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
he was an engineer at MIT. So brilliant guy. They've raised several $1 billion.
Oh yeah, I mean they've done pre-orders. They've taken deposits on vehicles too, and,
Yeah.
and they've got plenty of people backing them and excited about their vehicles. I think they will be a fairly successful company for a
Yes.
startup EV company. I think they'll do well.
Yeah, I think so. And their technology looks really good too.
Yeah.
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 and they didn't go Cybertruck direction and make such a vast departure.
So crazy.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
there's stuff about the Cybertruck I like.
yeah.
There's some things about that. I think they just went to,
It's a little odd.
I don't know.
Well, so this is my
Well, I
thought
think
on
the
the
cost is
Cybertruck.
why it looks so weird,
Well, that's interesting. I haven't thought about it from that perspective.
because it's a monobody, so the whole
Yeah, it's just a unit.
yes, one unit, which is good, it's solid.
Yeah.
But if you had to make a monobody that was stylish and had all these nice curves, I don't know what that would cost, but it'd be very expensive.
Right. Well, I almost picture in my mind when I see the Cybertruck, I think from a design language standpoint that somebody thought, let's design a truck so that 75 years from now, where we think things will go, this truck will still look somewhat contemporary.
It's always a bad idea, though.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
always a bad idea.
It's
I'm
like
not
those.
saying it's
It's
a
like
good idea.
it's like the contemporary houses in the '60s.
Yes.
They look weird. Like
They
I don't
look
want to buy
weird.
one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody does.
Well, some people do.
Well, some people do.
Most people don't.
They're throwing some weird parties there.
Yeah.
You don't want to hang out with them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's not a good idea. But I think from a design language, I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
They wanted it to not be familiar, right? I feel like they went too
Yes.
far.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was thinking about getting one, and then I was just underwhelmed
Yeah. I'd have to see it in person.
in the very beginning.
Yeah, and I think that's
It's going to change a little bit, though.
I don't,
That's not the final version.
it's pretty close. I
I
watched
think-
an interview where he was talking about the Cybertruck, and the one that was getting shown around a lot. He said really the biggest thing about it is the whole thing needed to shrink by like 6 or 8%. That they had just made the whole truck too big,
Yeah.
and that it just wouldn't fit in parking spaces well. It wouldn't be drivable well. So the prototype that was being shown everywhere is going to be scaled down a little. So it may change
That'll
the
help
proportions
some,
of some
yeah.
of the stuff about it if it's a little smaller.
I am curious too. It's so tough. It's going to destroy anything it hits.
That's what I was thinking about, too. Like, if it runs into somebody or somebody runs into it, they're
Yeah.
going to lose.
Yeah, most likely I would
and,
think so.
and it could be really dangerous.
This is
it's
the
like
other
a tank.
The reason I like the Escalade my wife driving versus the minivan. I feel like it's safer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a whole thing that I rant about all the time on the car podcast is that safety aspect has changed the way cars look to the point of, like, have you guys seen the new M3 BMW M4?
Yeah.
The front end on this thing,
Uh-uh.
you have to Google it and take a look at it. It's very divisive in the car community. Like, you either love it or you can't frickin' stand it. And but most of that design is dictated by like pedestrian crash standards.
You're talking about the one that has not come out yet. The one
that's not out
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
That they just showed like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's very ugly. It's growing on me. Like, I've seen some videos in person instead of just images that are
Yeah.
renders, and seen people like standing next to it. I think it will do okay over time, but it's so ugly. But it's because of crash standards. It's because of pedestrian. So it removes. You're never going to have cars that look like they did in the 50s and 60s again.
Oh, yeah.
We'll never have that.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean just mimic or replicate them. I mean that were designed with that level of passion and free thought. You just can't have that anymore because there's too many laws that dictate your headlight has to be this percentage around the corner of the vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
Or your turn signal must take up X number percentage of the front bumper. There's so many laws in automotive design that it really handicaps free thought. That's why.
A lot of regulation.
Yeah, that's why you can park a brand new Honda Accord next to a brand new Dodge Charger, two totally different vehicles. But if you looked at them 100% dead on from the front, they look almost identical.
Huh.
And it's because of laws. It's because of crash standards.
Safety regulations.
Yeah, you just can't have any like personality. The designer's personality can't come through in what a vehicle looks
Well,
like.
that's what I don't understand about the Cybertruck is if it's a monobody and it's that it's steel too. It's solid steel.
Yeah.
So where are the crumple zones and stuff? I mean, it can't.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm curious. how it meets those
Well, and the way that
regulations.
front end's raked, it's just going to go up over top of anything it hits. You know, it's like a monster truck.
That'll just go through something.
Looks like it's designed for not here. It looks like it's designed for the moon or something like that. You know?
Yeah.
The lunar rover.
Idea.
Well, he's trying to get people to Mars. Maybe it's all just been a scam. And he's going to be like, we're
That's
really
what it
only
is.
going
I
to
think
sell this
that's it.
truck on Mars.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
actually not for the American
This is
market.
This is for the Mars market.
This is the Mars market truck.
The Martians will be too tall for it, though.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got to tell you, if I'm in Mars and I probably could care less. I care less at that point, at least, about what it looks like.
Yeah,
At
that's
least for the first 100 years of civilization on Mars,
Right, yeah.
it's really irrelevant.
More concerned about eating,
Yeah, staying alive.
Yeah, eating and is this Cybertruck
not dying of
pressurized
cancer.
environment?
all the radiation.
Yeah. That's funny.
So we bought some kids clamps. This is a whole detour here. Some kids, like my son decided, he's very much an engineer, by the way. He's 9, builds these several $100 Lego sets and does all this crazy stuff, and I can't even remember the names of some of these mechanical things he puts together. But anyway, he tells me he wants to build forts, and so I'm like on Amazon buying. He said he wants clips. What are they called? You know what I'm talking about, where you pinch them,
Yep.
they clamp, it opens up and it closes, because he's going to use it to build his fort.
Yeah.
So he builds this elaborate fort, and I get home yesterday evening, and he's like, hey Dad, there was this warning on these clamps. I just want to show you. And he's 9. So I look at it, I'm like, that's unusual. And then I look up the thing, and I took a picture this morning, and it says it's an endocrine disruptor with several studies that propose relationship between exposure to this and appearance of adverse health effects, cancer, infertility, diabetes, obesity, should be avoided by children. As a children's clamp, like it was specifically marketed on
Weird.
Amazon.
What's it made out of?
So it's something in the plastic, and it had a disclosure on it. So anyway, long story short, I don't know how I got into this, but all those, he got upset a little bit, but all those had to be taken back down, and we had to complain and put them outside, and Amazon's either coming to pick them up or they were going in the trash. Amazon said they'd come get them. But I don't know how I got on this tangent, but that
That's
just
crazy.
happened too. So
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
weird.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, Legos are awesome. I mean,
Legos are
Yeah.
awesome, yeah.
as soon as you started talking about Legos and building Legos, I was thinking, I recently had a conversation with my wife, and maybe you guys can help me on this.
Technics. Lego
Like-
Technics. He
oh
does
yeah,
that.
those are the good ones.
Yeah.
Those are really good. They have some cool like cars. They have a Land Rover Defender, like
Yeah.
the old school one. They've got some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Their Porsche 911 GT3 kit is like $350, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
He just
Yeah.
did he did a Lamborghini build. He did he's done a couple. He's all into that.
Yeah, they're really cool. They have like an old Mini Cooper rally car, awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they also have, like in regular Legos, they've got some really awesome stuff. So a couple of years ago, maybe 2 Christmases ago, I'll do like an Amazon shopping list for like my Christmas list, like what do you want to get for Christmas? Well, they have Voltron, right? They have
Oh,
Lego
that's cool.
Voltron. So, and if you're listening to this podcast and you're 40 years old, you also just got excited. Right?
That's right.
Which one? The Lions or the
The
cars?
Lions.
Okay.
I think Car Voltron
I like the
is a
Lions.
smaller segment of fandom.
Sure,
I
it
mean,
is.
I like the Car Voltron. I was a fan.
It's the
of
older
that.
one, right?
Yeah.
Car Voltron came
I had the car
after,
Voltron too.
Came after
Oh, it was
Lion
after, okay.
Voltron. Yeah.
I had them both.
Yeah. And Voltron is, it's an American adaptation of Japanese mecha, animation. But
Yeah.
but I loved Voltron. And so they released this thing like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was brand new. And I was like, holy crap, I want to put together Lego Voltron. My wife's like, you can't ask for Legos. You're in your late 30s, right? You can't ask for Legos.
It's made for
And
us.
I'm
though.
like, yeah, no 12-year-old wants Lego Voltron
yeah.
unless they have one really cool dad,
Yeah.
right? And has
True.
educated them on the powers of Voltron.
Yeah.
But now it's back, and there's like new Voltron on Netflix, and
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Like
Okay.
but I mean, this is the original Voltron.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so what do you guys think? Can you have
Oh, yeah.
Can you have Legos as an adult
Oh,
man
absolutely.
on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
Christmas list?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
all the vindication I need.
Have you seen
Yeah.
the Lego statues in Times
Yes.
Square, New York?
Yes.
They're amazing.
Yeah, you should go to and Disney get a leg and
I've
near,
been there.
yeah, do that,
Yeah.
but near Disney, well, not too far.
It's
but
like
go to-
Disney downtown or whatever.
Yeah, do that,
Yep.
but then go to Legoland which is like how old are your kids?
She's 4.
Okay,
She'll
there
be
you go.
5 next month.
Legoland works perfectly, especially
Yeah.
that age range. Legoland's got some rides that she can do, but you have Legoland where there's lots of things. About an hour from Disney, But you should do that in Florida, and if you stay at the hotel, they've got it's Lego everything. Everything's built with Legos. They've got
cool.
Lego areas where you can construct. They've got rides made from Lego. That's awesome. They got Lego
I'm
lands.
always looking for ammunition for this fight.
Yeah.
So like a few months ago, we were in Black Mountain, and we went to the Asheville Arboretum, and they had an outdoor Lego display where people would build all these animals out of Legos, like full-size, life-size
that's
deer,
cool. Wow.
That's awesome.
stuff like that. And we're just walking around casually looking at them. We've been there like an hour. So I've waited till the timing is right, and my wife's like, there's one that's like a grandfather and a child, and they're working in the garden together, and they're completely out of Legos, life size. And my wife is like, wow, the skill in this is amazing. And I said, they were built by adults.
12-year-olds didn't build these.
Legos are okay for adults.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I held my timing, but it didn't help. It didn't help my cause any.
If you watch any of the builds, I don't know if you've watched the only reason I bring Lamborghini up because I thought it was they did a really good job. They're putting some real money into this. But you watch the Lamborghini Lego Technic build, and they have like a studio. They have lights. They have things coming in. They build backgrounds so you can see it, and you can watch a time lapse of it in like 3 minutes, start to finish, and it's awesome, right? But pan out and look. They're adults built. It's adults.
Oh yeah,
Those people
for
our
sure.
age.
Yeah,
for sure.
And actually, when we were in Legoland a year ago, there was an engineer that he did something with cars. I can't remember. He actually designed cars in real life. That's what he did.
Wow.
And he had taken and done like a 4,000 hour build with him and a team. Like that was what they did for fun. And they did a Lego build, car build.
Yeah.
And based on some prototype he was doing, and I thought that was awesome. I was like,
really
this
cool.
is really
really
Yeah.
cool.
yeah. So
Well, they do those prototype builds with the clay.
Yeah.
They carve them out of clay.
Yeah, that's
Those
right.
full-size cars out of clay.
yeah,
It's pretty amazing.
yeah. So I thought it was cool. I think it's cool.
It is.
I try to
Smart.
do it with him, but no bullshit. My 9-year-old runs circles around me. The only part he
Legos.
needs me help for sometimes is like certain pieces, like mashing. Like if it's a really complicated thing, but
Yep.
99% of the
Or if
time,
he puts the wrong 2 and 2
Yeah,
together,
trying to get 'em
and
apart.
trying to get 'em apart,
yeah,
that's a nightmare.
yeah. But I mean, and he'll be 10 in November, but it's just crazy. But his mind is very much, it just rings engineer to me.
I have a
That's
dog. I just built a Lego princess castle last night
Did you?
with Isla.
Did you have more fun than she did? Is the question. No.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It was fun. She enjoyed it, so I enjoyed it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
It was
there
very
you go.
fun.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It was very satisfying.
But I do have like a Lego conspiracy that they like when I was 12, the Lego sets that I really wanted were too expensive. I can afford
Yeah, me
those
too,
Lego
yeah.
sets now, but the Lego sets I want now are now also too expensive to rationalize buying.
Yeah.
The one I walked into Walmart as a kid and went, I wish I could have that. I could walk into any store now and just go, yeah, I've got that.
Yeah.
But-
Those are for the kids.
That's right. Those are the kids.
Yeah. That's-
They keep pricing the stuff I want just out of my range.
Right.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You could probably go online and buy somebody's big Lego
Collection
set,
and just
collection.
build my own Death Star.
Yeah.
It's like a rainbow Death Star.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're expensive. Have you ever tried to? Have you went online and looked at used Legos?
Yes.
They're pretty expensive.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You'd
man,
have to
They
get
hold their
lucky.
value well.
Yeah.
they
if you
do
get
very
lucky.
well. Like we go on and look. Let's say Daniel, because Daniel does he's custom building things, like
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So he goes on and I don't know how he does this at 9, but he finds these parts or motors or things that he thinks are gonna work well together.
Right.
And so I just did an order a few nights ago, and it was like $73 for like 5 random parts. But see, the only way you got these parts, and he knows this, I don't know this, was that you would have had to bought this kit, this.
Oh yeah, they came in a very specific
yeah.
set.
Yeah. So that, but I'm like, how do you know this stuff? Like.
So what he's into?
In
Yeah.
the background, he's got like a Lego encyclopedia. It's like this
Yeah,
thick, and it's got reference numbers and
I don't know, man.
part numbers
funny.
and
It's interesting because he tells me, he's like, well, you only could have got this if you'd have bought this set, and it was from 2007. And I'm like, well, where did you figure that out? He's like, I just know, Dad. I'm like, okay.
yeah. But and you know what? We as adults, as parents, we see kids do stuff like that, and we think that's useless information. That's not going to help you at any point in your life. But look at the stuff people are making a living on YouTube doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I retained a bunch of useless car information that my wife has told me repeatedly. Nobody wants to hear that.
But now you have
But I
podcasts.
now have proof that there's like 7 people in Ireland who are very interested in listening to me talk about a car. So,
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good. That obsessive behavior is good too, though.
Yeah.
That means when he gets older, he'll be obsessed with something that's productive.
Right. He can focus in on a
Yeah.
task. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
what it speaks
That's
to.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the same thing, but not with that. Not
We all
with,
do the same thing, yeah.
I had another topic, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better than some of the stuff he could be doing. So like
Sure.
I've definitely supported it.
Well, it's engineering-esque too.
Yeah,
so
I've
Yes,
got.
that's right.
I guarantee you, he's
mind.
got $5,000 worth of engineering related. Like anything that I thought would be like a cool project for him to build, or stuff that operates and functions, building mechanical
Right.
robotic arms, like any of those types of things, I thought were somewhat educational as well. And he does stuff with electrical circuits, and I think there is a lot of crossover.
Oh, yeah.
I started, just in case, we started doing what's it called? Code Monkey, I think is one of the ones I got him on. We started that, and so it's
Start learning coding.
It's elementary,
Yeah.
at best, but it's interesting. I'm like, well, maybe we can add this in too, because I'm not sure. I'm not an engineer. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not. How would Elon Musk raise his kid? Like, I mean, I don't know, because he's very
I
much.
can tell you, he would this very much that same way, and
Yeah.
I think that's the opportunity currently. If you're savvy enough, if your kid takes an interest in photography or filmmaking, spending the time, because we've all worked hard in our lives and made a little bit of money so that we can afford for our children to do things better than we did.
Yeah.
So in a lot of chances, we skip over stuff because we say, well, I can afford, my daughter's interested in photography, so I can go buy her a nice mirrorless SLR and take some good pictures.
Yep.
Right? So maybe we gloss over developing film and learning why film works the way it does, and that the settings on that mirrorless camera, even though they have words on there, that computer in that camera doesn't need you to know what an f-stop is, right?
Right.
But film cameras did. And so like in coding, right, if you spend the time to teach your kid the very basics of programming and coding, they're going to have a leg up on kids who jumped right into having a computer with an algorithm that would take care of the basic coding.
Right.
Because when stuff goes sideways and that has to be addressed at like a macro level, your kid's going to have an advantage that anybody else in that room's not going to have.
That's what that
Yeah.
George guy was saying on that podcast. He was talking about coding and
Yeah.
programming. He was saying that you need to start with the most basic
Absolutely.
code and
Yeah.
then learn that. That way you're learning more about how it works
Yeah.
and what it means. And then when you go to the higher level coding, you'll understand more of what you're doing.
Start off with the if-then stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
that's a
right.
lot. That's
Well,
actually a lot of what it is right now. He's doing is
Macro
if-then.
programming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's like in graphic design, a lot of the terminology is actually from stuff that was way back
Right.
that I never used, but I understand what it is. Like typography and stuff like leading and kerning and all those things. They were physical things that people did,
Yes.
physical pieces that people used in plates, to make printing. And now it's just terminology, and we have like a digital version of that.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So.
So
cool.
yeah, teach them the basics.
Yeah.
You're not going to find a single Formula One driver racing in Formula One right now that didn't start out racing in a go-kart.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're going to have, if you want to be successful at the highest level of any industry, you better know the foundational work and start out at the
Right, yeah.
basic.
And if your kid wants to be a photographer, I don't think you have to buy him a film camera, but at least
Yeah, they
get
need
them
one
classes.
with the hood
To,
and
yeah.
box, right?
But at least get them
They need the
the education to understand what the stuff
cancer-causing
means.
powder. in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
truck.
there you go. Yeah, the soul trapping cameras.
That's exactly right. That's right.
1800s.
Steals your soul.
Yeah.
Everybody has to stand still for 10 minutes, or you have a weird ghost family member.
That's why they didn't smile. They just
Yes,
stand
right.
there for so long.
Well, a lot of those pictures were pictures of dead people too.
Well, actually, that was just representative of how people felt back then too.
Yeah,
It's like life is horrible.
that's right. That's right. I live in a dust bowl.
Yeah.
I have 12 kids. 7 of them are still alive. Right.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
not
maybe.
very happy.
Yeah.
And you're only
Today.
28 years old
And
at
I'm
that
only,
time.
Yeah.
you're only 28.
Right.
You know.
Got started at 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, dude,
Yeah,
it was awesome having you on.
Yeah, man, that was great. I'm glad I got to come on here.
Tell everyone about your podcast again.
Yeah.
And how to follow you if you have a Instagram page you want to share or something.
Yeah, we're not that sophisticated yet, but you can find us on any listening platform. You know, we record on Anchor, but we're on iTunes, you know, Spotify, Google, all those sites that you can find a podcast. We're on there. BS Car Guys podcast, or the other one if you're into travel and want to become a fan of that, you know, it's Carolina and Beyond podcast.
Cool.
So that's our 2 podcasts. And if you're interested in buying a CNC machine, you can look me up on Phillips Corporation's website, and I'll be glad to get you in touch with your salesperson if it's not me.
There you go.
So.
Awesome.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye.